Garofalo adding the Chargers have an extremely strong financial offer on the table, and the discussions are now focused on who will fill out the staff when it comes to coaching, personnel, and the GM position. Meantime, the Raiders are hiring Tom Telesco as their new general manager, according to NFL Network insider Ian Rappaport. Telesco stays in the AFC West after serving as the Chargers GM for the last 11 seasons. And the Bears made it official Tuesday, hiring Shane Waldron as their new offensive coordinator, according to NFL Network insider Tom Pelissero. Waldron was the OC for the Seahawks the last 3 seasons. This has been NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network.
Jackson Hewitt has a plan to get your tax refund fast with a buck here, buck there, here a buck, there a buck, everywhere a buck.
You don't have to wait weeks for your tax refund. Get money sooner with a no-fee refund advance loan at Jackson Hewitt.
On this loan, there's a money today guarantee. E-I-E-I-O.
Don't settle for chicken feed. Get fast bucks at Jackson Hewitt today. No-fee refund advance loans by Republic Bank offered to eligible clients. Money today guarantee if approved for a loan on a prepaid card. Details at jacksonhewitt.com.
The new year is here. Time for change. Start a recession-resistant new career in the high-demand fields of IT, cybersecurity, and AI with My Computer Career in just months. Already in IT? Build your cybersecurity skills and prep for thousands of open positions employers nationwide are desperate to fill. Attend classes live online or on campus. Make this your year. Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation today. That's mycomputercareer.edu. Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including the GM.
It's pro time, Nebraska! The Omaha Supernovas, your Major League Volleyball team, are about to hit the court. Mark your calendars for January 24th at 7 p.m. when we host the first ever Pro Volleyball Federation match against the Atlanta Vibe at the CHI Health Center. Witness world-class talent, including national champions and Olympians. Don't wait. Secure your single match tickets today at supernovas.com to become a part of history.
Hey, it's Nick Handley for Hims. I know we worry about getting older and you start losing your hair. Maybe you're having some performance issues in the bed and you think that those are uncommon. Well, I got good news for you. They're not uncommon. In fact, they're fairly simple to treat. 52% of men over 40 experience some form of ED, and male pattern hair loss affects about 50% of men by the age of 50. Through Hims, you can upgrade your daily routines with prescription treatments that can make a big difference and help you regain your confidence and help you feel like yourself again. So if you want to regrow your hair, have better sex, or tackle anxiety and depression, you don't have to go to the doctor, the pharmacy, or spend all day talking about it. Just go to hims.com and do something about it. If prescribed treatments that guys love are shipped directly to your door in unmarked packaging, so it's nobody's business but your own. Hims has helped millions of guys just like you get help for their health problems. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/start. That's hims.com/start for your free online visit. HIMS.com/START. Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information.
Hey everyone, gather round. It's time for corny jokes about passing the torch.
The team at Kirian's Welding was fused together solid.
Thanks for all the late nights and early shifts.
But double retirements mean the crew must bond with some certified new hires.
You've both gone the extra millimeter.
Indeed can help them hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Our hiring platform instantly connects you with quality candidates, and you can schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from the Indeed dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
The world's largest sportsbook in Las Vegas is available right at your fingertips in Iowa. The Circa Sports Iowa app is sports betting the way it should be. Bet anywhere in Iowa and experience high betting limits, tight money line splits, and exceptional customer service. Download your new bookie today. Visit circasports.com and start betting like a pro from anywhere in Iowa. If you or someone you know may have a problem with gambling, call 1-800-238-7633.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
This is a sale so hot, Standard Heating and Air can only do it once a year. Right now, buy a Carrier air conditioner from Standard Heating and Air and get a free furnace. Now that's a hot deal.
StandardAC.com, where we do the things we do.
Carrier, turn to the experts.
1620 The Zone will be broadcasting live on Friday, January 26th from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. at American Cancer Society's Hope Lodge, Nebraska, in support of the Creighton Pinkout game. Stop by and drop off a donation of paper products, gift cards, or cash to support cancer patients staying at the Hope Lodge, a free home away from home for cancer patients and caregivers who must travel to Omaha for their life-saving treatment. Once again, 1620 The Zone live January 26th from the American Cancer Society's Hope Lodge, Nebraska. For more details, listen to 1620 The Zone and visit cancer.org/pinkout.
1620 The Zone.
Claude between the circles. Now looks to move downhill. Backs his way over Trey Alexander. Lays it up and in. He just pushed his rear end right through Trey Alexander and created space. A missed call. All right, top of the key. Here's Kalkbrenner. Handoff to Baylor.
Every time.
Crying. It happens all the time.
Every time. That's just
seriously.
It's every possession. So that why you call it?
So Kalkbrenner called for the same foul. Ha!
It didn't matter if he stood there for 20 seconds, they were going to call that.
The biggest lie ever told was a referee who said, "I don't believe in makeup calls."
Is he shooting?
No, he was not shooting. Why is he shooting free throws? He was not shooting. What is this? That was a rebound. That was a rebound. There was no shot. There was no shot. How is he shooting free throws with no shot? That was a rebound. You cannot. What are you doing? He makes the first. He misses the second. They just gifted Xavier a point. That was not a shot. That was off a loose ball rebound. What are they watching? In and out. But Kalkbrenner gets the board. Outside Baylor. He'll get a three. No. But another tip out. Jays get it back. Back to Baylor. Another open three. Yes! 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 And this place comes unglued. Let's go, guys! Timeout, Sean Miller. They might be giving him freebies on one end, but the Jays are earning it on the other. Oh, he misses the second, but that's the ball game. Jays win. Jays win. Jays win. Final score: Creighton 85, Xavier 78.
Live from 50th and Capitol Avenue in the Big O. This is Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com, and 1620 The Zone TV. Now here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy.
Morning. The night of basketball last night. Both got dubs.
Big dub. Big dub in Lincoln.
How about this? So on the 24th of January, like if we would have gone back like 4 or 5 months ago, and I said, Nick, tell me what Nebraska and Creighton's record would be after 20 games, you probably would not have said the same.
No.
That's what we are this morning. Nebraska and Creighton are both 15-5.
Yes.
After wins last night in the respective conferences. I had to laugh. So I was at the Nebraska game. And that was easy breezy. There was like hardly any tension convention going on in that game. But all I could think about when I was driving home last night, and I caught the post game on John's broadcast, is everything we talked about yesterday, how we thought those games would play out.
Yeah.
They reversed.
Yep.
The Creighton line, and Creighton didn't cover, was what, 8.5?
Mm-hmm.
I think it ended at 7.5.
Yeah.
Jimmy, you said Creighton will blow Xavier out.
Eventually, they pull away late.
I think you said blowout. Didn't you say blowout?
I said blowout.
I think
88-73.
I think you said blowout.
I remember hearing pulling away late. Was there a blowout added in there? I don't know. Pulling away late. I remember hearing that.
So, and I thought the Nebraska-Ohio State game would come down to the under 4 media timeout.
Yeah, I was wrong there. That's all right, though.
It was.
Love it.
That was nice and easy for Nebraska last night. And then it was when it mattered most, Creighton found a way to win. But it's wild. Creighton and Nebraska have the same record. Now, the metrics are a little bit different.
Sure.
And the head-to-head was a little bit different.
Sure.
But Nebraska and Creighton are 15-5. They have the same exact record as we speak.
That PBA is to that Creighton team. But yeah, the Creighton part of this, if you would have asked me back then, just give me records, I would have said, yeah, Creighton. Nebraska, that's going to take some doing. And yet still, I mean, this is, and I was getting this a lot last night on Twitter when I mentioned, because everybody saw the graphic too, that, this is the best start that Nebraska's been on since the 90-91 season. And a lot of people were quick to point out, should be 17-3. When you think about some of those, the Minnesota game is one that people are going to, you're going to kick yourself about. If you look at how you played out the Rutgers game too, just recently. And again, it's well documented, all of the struggles on the road, and not necessarily looking awful for 40 minutes of basketball, but being that inability to close out a team when you've had leads in those games. And so what's exciting about last night is, and this is kind of cool, I'm saying this more in a positive, is Nebraska's 15-5, but if you are one of those people who feel like, gosh, they should be 17-3.
No, don't go there.
I'm just saying that's legitimate.
You learn when you lose.
You do.
That's what a great.
And we'll find out this weekend. We'll find out this weekend because it's got to happen on the road at some point. It has to happen on the road at some point. But it is easy to say 15-5.
No, don't do that. Don't do that.
I want to.
No, don't, because you know what?
Because that's kind of exciting.
You don't know if you don't get the Minnesota result,
maybe you don't get Michigan State. Maybe you don't get K-State. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
So it's a learning process. But with that said, so last night was a fun night. Whether you were at PBA, which, man, those 6:00 games, they are tough. I mean, it was a sleepy crowd early because it was like a late arriving crowd.
Yeah.
In Lincoln, and then
they're just getting plowed out now.
We'll talk about the Creighton crowd. I'm getting a lot of messages about the Creighton crowd, and they were sleepy at the beginning last night. Now, they showed up when Baylor Shireman said, not so fast, my friends.
Yeah.
But watching the Nebraska season that is unfolding right now, and you mentioned this is their best start since 90-91. They're averaging 78.5 points a game. Mast is the player of the night last night in college basketball for what the Flying Dutchman did.
CJ Wilcher might be.
But all I could think about is watching the Huskers play last night and the way the season has gone. And they win, and they win easily. I mean, Ohio State's got some issues. Chris Holtman is firmly on the hot seat. They were not connected at all last night. They may want to figure out who 51 is on the scouting report, because there's no way that they went through their shoot around and their scouting report and were as bad defending Mast as they were, because they were lost with Rink Mast. I mean, they might want to find 51, but Rink Mast was the player of the night in college basketball last night. I mean, the guy couldn't miss. He's a little bit of a unicorn. He's 6'10", 248. He looks like he could dominate in his mid-30s in a rec league.
Yep.
But he shot the hell out of the basketball.
Mm-hmm.
But after they win, and they're 15-5, and there's all these stats that are flying out there about, best start since 90-91. They're 13-1 at PBA. They're 5-4 in the conference, which currently puts them in 5th in the quest to possibly play on Friday in Minneapolis. I thought, it doesn't feel like a historic season. Like the 90-91 season, and you got to go way back. Let's bring back in 80-year-old Danny Nee. The year they had where that was where I was like, oh my gosh, and they get a number 3 seed. It doesn't feel like an historic season. It feels like a good season, a better than a normal Nebraska ball season. I don't know that I would say historic. I'd just say 15-5. And they are, in my opinion, 6, maybe you'd like to have 7 wins away from ensuring a trip to the dance since 2014. It's just kind of an odd season as it's unfolded. You're like, oh, okay, they're 15-5. Okay. All right.
I think that I would agree.
That's pretty impressive. Okay.
Yeah. As you see, the home wins especially start to kind of stack up, and you see that record where boy, we're really keeping those losses at a minimum here. And then yet we're seeing a lot of, especially with a lot of the home wins too, all those building up, and you look at that record and you're like, okay, 15-5. And where I would say I agree with you on, it doesn't feel like overly like just wow, because look at some of the high points and it have been kind of followed by some low points. You get the victory against Purdue, which I remember saying it after that game. If you beat Purdue and then go on the road to beat Iowa, ooh, now we're talking about something pretty cool here, pretty special. And I feel like if you're able to duplicate that high point of the season with a win like that, then you're probably looking at it maybe a little bit differently. But each big moment has been kind of met with a road slip. And so it has been almost sort of a little bit of a tug and war, yet they took care of business in non-conference, but that non-conference schedule wasn't overly taxing.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's probably a little bit of that. And I'm going to kind of go back to the 2014 season, where you kind of saw something similar where Nebraska, they were so good at home. And then as you got through January, you started looking at February thinking, this is a tournament team. And they just kept winning basketball games. And then eventually would go on the road and win basketball games that month too. And it all kind of culminated on that Sunday against Wisconsin, where it didn't matter. As long as they won that game, didn't matter what they did in the Big Ten tournament. You knew that they were in. So essentially that was their playing game to the NCAA tournament. So I guess the good news is, if you're hoping for that type of feel, you still got a lot of basketball, because I think if you're able to duplicate these moments at home on the road eventually, then it starts to take on a little bit of different feel.
Yeah, it's a weird good team that's 15-5 that basically showed Ohio State that Nebraska basketball is better than you right now. Ohio State basketball is in a really, really bad spot.
You do all this without Juwan Garrett, too.
They should not have come into that building last night. And Nebraska has an easy breezy night. Easy breezy. Once Ohio State blew the lead in the first half and Nebraska had a surge at the end of the first half and got the lead, that game wasn't in doubt in the second half. Now, Ohio State came out of the locker room and said, hey, we're here. That game wasn't in doubt. That was an impressive win last night for Nebraska. It may resonate. Now, super resonate because Ohio State has been relegated to the NIT after losing in Lincoln last night.
I heard that chant last night.
I haven't won a road game in 388 days. They're disconnected. Man, they should not have gotten out-rebounded like they did.
Yeah.
I mean, Nebraska won a lot of 50-50 balls. Nebraska was a much better team last night. Thanks for Ohio State for showing up. I hope that Peacock money is good. Oh, wait a minute. The money is pretty good at Ohio State. So Nebraska's 15-5, and now they got the huge game on Saturday at Maryland, which we all wait, and they have now 4 straight quad 1 opportunities.
Yep.
Now, you have to pick up a couple of those because there are some landmines out there that are either good or bad. You got some quad 3s that are coming. Michigan ain't doing you any favors being on your schedule, because Michigan is an absolute dumpster fire right now. So that's the Nebraska that's 15-5. And then there's the Creighton that is 15-5. And when you have, you're probably in the 3rd tier of national championship contenders, and you're Creighton, and, after being drubbed by UConn, you've turned things around. You got 2 back-to-back kind of similar wins where you had to find a way, and you bless the ground that the big 3 walk on, and you hope they stay here forever. Because when it's go time and it matters most, they found a way to do it. Now, we can nitpick a lot of last night, and we can nitpick that Xavier kind of blew that game. Or you could nitpick and say, hey, Sean Miller, meet Greg McDermott. He was much better in the second half than you were.
Yeah.
It's just it's an interesting way to look at 15-5, but we are trending towards 2 teams being in the dance. Creighton's 12 in the net right now. Nebraska's 56 after last night's back-to-back victories in Lincoln and Omaha.
Yeah, and the fact that
basketball state.
It has a, I don't want to say a different feel, because I think with what Creighton did last night, and a game, that I would also agree that they were up against it a lot more. And once Baylor Shireman started,
point of
just because, and this is where we kind of went to the fatigue part of it too. It was watching kind of Baylor Shireman throughout the game, and just as they got closer in the second half. Now he started hitting shots in the second half, and I know it was said in the broadcast as Trey Alexander goes, so does this Creighton team. But I kind of thought with Baylor Shireman kind of lying in the weeds, they really kind of ignited everything once he finally started knocking down some shots. But he looked like out of anybody else who was probably wearing it a little bit. And it wasn't necessarily even his movement away from the ball or anything. It was just like, if you would watch his overall like body language in his face, the dude looked like he'd been through 12 rounds. So and he played every minute of that game, and then he played
174 the last 175 minutes.
Yeah, there was it was like maybe sat out like maybe a combined minute in like 4 games.
Yeah,
like,
whatever 175 minutes is.
Yeah, that's insane. And you could just kind of see it on his face. Like he looked sort of worn down, yet you get that type of effort from him as he starts knocking shots down. Then ironically, they start taking lead, start pulling away. I mean, not to take anything away from Trey Alexander. He had to be big for them to kind of stay afloat, because if Trey Alexander isn't on point early in that game, Xavier's leads that they had, and because it was a game of runs last night, Xavier's leads are probably a lot more extensive than being tough, a lot more tough to come back from.
I thought the moment last night in the second half when you can feel it and Creighton starts to hit some shots, that moment was too big for Xavier last night. It was too big for the guy that was on the sidelines. It was too big for his team because they lost control of that basketball game.
Mm-hmm.
They could feel it slipping away, and they weren't getting. I mean, they were making some tough shots in the first half, and Claude was on fire, and then he got shut down in the second half, courtesy of Shireman. But I thought the moment was too big for Xavier last night because you knew that run was coming by Creighton. What do I always say? Spurtability.
Yeah,
Creighton wasn't ready for, or Xavier wasn't ready for it. And they weren't built to handle that. And then they let things get under their skin. And then I'll tell you, the turning point in that game was the Sean Miller technical foul.
No doubt.
I mean, come on.
You're 63-60, and then after that, you're 68-63.
You're a veteran coach. You're in that emotion. All of a sudden, the people have woken up, and they're like, oh, we got a basketball game going on here at the Chai. And you let things get under your skin with the officiating. And, hey, the officiating, I don't need Bishop to tell you. Officiating in the Big East right now is very inconsistent, okay? And it is a roll of the dice on what call you're going to get. But in that moment, when you have a chance to pull a major upset on the road, you let that get to you, and it feeds on the floor. I mean, your team has the identity of you. And you saw Xavier, when things got tight, they complained about everything in that game. That moment was too big for them against a team that is a Tier 3 national championship contender that hit shots when it mattered most, and you didn't. So we could nitpick Creighton, which, there's people that are because they're trying to figure out the ceiling. But when it mattered most in the last 2 games, they found a way to win. Does that catch up to you in March? Maybe. But right now, it's all about wins, and it's especially all about making sure you win home games, and both teams last night did that.
Yeah, and there was a moment there, because I would totally agree about the 63-60 moment of that game where, okay, does I think it was Davion McKnight who thought he got elbowed, and then Sean Miller saw the replay and thought that should have been a call, and you let yourself get away to the point that all of a sudden that goes from a 63-60 lead to a 68-63 deficit. At that point of the game in that building, you are doing your team no favors. But then it was shortly after, because then I think Xavier came down, they hit a shot, pulled within 3. This is kind of where you knew things had sort of stayed and kind of changed. Fortunes had kind of changed for Creighton and probably going to stay there. It was Baylor Shireman on second free throw misses. It gets rebounded offensively. Kalkbrenner gets it. They get a wide open look out to Shireman, misses it. They get another offensive rebound, get it right back out to Shireman. He's not missing that again. He knocks it down. And so, again, there's the opportunities. You give him 1, you're probably going to regret it. You give him 2, yeah, you're done. And that's kind of the way the second half sort of played out. I thought that
got outcoached. You got outcoached as well.
No, I don't think there's any question.
I mean, you walked into a building where you had a chance, and, bad on Creighton in the first half. Xavier was as comfortable as could be.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you couldn't tell that they probably digested Skyline chili before the game, that it was about to run right through them. They were comfortable, man. They were woo-hoo. They were like Nebraska playing Ohio State last night. They were easy breezy in the first half. Now the game was tight. I mean, they had a chance to pull away, but it was, Creighton kept within striking distance despite turnovers. I mean, thank God NBA Trey showed up last night in the first half. But I thought in the second half, all of a sudden it hit them. Oh my God, we might win this basketball game in Omaha. And they're like, Mac on one sideline. And then you got a guy, and this is what we'll see. And I think it's still kind of early. It's January 24th. Is guys that this is the last dance, like a Shireman, and Alexander, and a Kalkbrenner, which kiss the ground that the big 3 walk on. I wouldn't let them walk across campus. I'd Uber them everywhere so they don't slip on ice. is guys can see the end and they don't want to go out a certain way. And you're really good at your craft. And then you add that element and it's like, oh my. I've said this for a month and a half now. If you're asking me who to put up for a Big East Player of the Year nominee from Creighton, don't even hesitate. His name's Baylor Shireman.
Yeah.
But when you get to the end of your career, and you're like, okay, I don't want it to end where it ended last year or to be this what if season, man, you can go to another level. And he was able to do that last night. Trey took care of the first half. Shireman took care of the second half. And they won a basketball game that on January 24th is the most important thing, because look what the discussion would be this morning. If Xavier would have played like they did in the first half and Creighton never able to make that run and Xavier wins here, you're talking, well, they can't win at home. And who is this team? And boy, they're a mess.
Yep.
Because that's 2 losses in the last 3. They've been beaten twice at home in the Big East. They got to win.
Yeah. And it was a win that, again, followed off of what you were able to do on the road against Seton Hall. That was big for them. Another thing that I could connect both games last night too, and for different reasons, the minutes that Baylor Shireman has put in and to still be able to get shots off and have the legs there at the very end, I think is impressive. This also goes to how they are getting these athletes recovered and ready for the next game, which was impressive, but also the same thing for Rink Mass. Having him, remember, because in the Rutgers game, that was the first time we saw him kind of look like he was fatigued from the procedure that he had. And I know Fred last night was talking about some of the testing going on where he's, like his vertical test, his jumping ability was the best it's looked since before and since December. Like having Rink Mast still play those minutes and the way that they're managing him in practices and being able to get the most out of him, which is obviously very, very important. Like there are people behind the scenes now that deserve a lot of credit.
I was disappointed last night they took him out of the game.
I mean, see him get 40.
Why don't you go for a 40?
I know. See what do you get 30 with like a little more than 6 minutes to go? Or no, I think that's when he got 32. And so you're thinking,
I don't know. The guy sitting behind me last night.
Close.
You could tell the game wasn't close last night. So the guy behind me went from talking about Bo Spencer and Ray Gallegos to
Ray Gallegos
to the second half talking about his cattle and how they did with the weather last week.
Oh.
How did they do?
How did they do, by the way? Everybody okay with those cold temperatures?
I wasn't trying to. Well, I mean, he was pretty animated about his cattle, so he lost 1 heifer, I believe. But he was talking about the weather, so I could tell that was my pulse of if the game is tight or not. The guy behind me is all into basketball, and he's rattling off players.
Who was he comparing to Ray Gallegos?
I don't know, whoever the guy was sitting next to.
The unsung hero of that 2014 season.
I just overheard him, but then the second half, when that game wasn't really in doubt, when it went from 3 to 18 pretty quick, we were talking about our cattle. And I'm like, okay, all right, it's a good night at the office for Nebraska. How about this for Nebraska's last night? Shifting back to the Huskers win over Ohio State, which they covered. They won a game where you brought up Wiltshire. We'll get into CJ's resurgence, what the Flying Dutchman did. We might have to. I think we got to open the phones today and find a nickname for him.
For Rink, be good.
Is Tominaga was AWOL.
Mm-hmm.
Tominaga got in foul trouble. Took him out into the first half.
Yeah.
He had 5 points. And I will tell you, you didn't miss him, but you didn't notice him on the floor barely at all last night.
No.
He wasn't moving real crisp. I like his ball movement. Like against Northwestern, he was going the entire time. He wasn't doing much last night, and he only scored 5, and they still won, pulling away against Ohio State. I mean, that's a subtle sign that this team has pieces that they can do it. Now, I would want to do Tominaga being held to 5 points every night and not being super active. But look at this. In the past years, a Fred Hoiberg team, and you got to give Fred some due, got hit in his head by his son who threw a pass to him in the middle of the game last night.
He did. He did.
Hoiberg is 21-7 in his last 28 games. He is 1 win away from matching last year.
Yeah.
And it's January 24th.
Yep.
So you got to give Fred his due on the construction of this roster that they can overcome a poor night from 30 and nice to have 34, but there's other guys that contributed. And it's just the roster construction that allows you to overcome a night like that and win handily. I'm not trying to just pile on Ohio State. Nebraska won handily last night.
Yeah, no,
that just wasn't.
That's legit.
That's a good win, and that game wasn't in doubt. But past years, a Fred team would lose that game because they didn't get it. They didn't get much from
their guy.
Mm-hmm. And they dinked and dunked around, turned the basketball over, which they didn't last night. What, they turned over 6 times?
Yeah.
They would have found a way to lose that in the past. Teams built differently, that they win those games, and then they're able to go from 3 to 18 with a Mast and a Wiltshire hitting big threes, and you're like, Chris Holtman, we might have to have some speaks at the end of the year.
Well, in a win against Northwestern, you got Josiah Alex shown out. In other games, Casey is going to be the guy. Bryce Williams has had some good games too. So in years past, like to your point, it always felt like there were guys that maybe had a reputation or at least were capable of scoring. But if the one guy, the guy that you relied on heavily wasn't having a night, everybody was kind of looking around. They weren't kind of taking it upon themselves. And like Rink Mass said it in the post game with old Jack and Steve Bardo about, if it's him one night, it's going to be Casey the next night, or it's going to be Bryce the next night. And I truly think that it's one thing to say that, being a good teammate, but I think this, when you watch this team, I think they really do believe that. I think they buy into that. And I think you've now seen, and that's the other thing. It's one thing to try to preach that as a coaching staff and for a team to, try to give them the benefit of the doubt, but you've actually seen now examples. Because remember, we were always wondering when Casey, go all the way back to when he rolled the ankle in the preseason game, and he was kind of slow getting back, and they were winning games, whether Casey was playing or whether he, was limited minutes or he just wasn't really in rhythm yet. And you thought, okay, well, that's a good sign. But they're beating teams. You're winning against non-conference opponents that, were somewhere in the 300 of KenPom. To be able to do that in conference play is a completely different story. That you can survive a night where Casey is putting up a pretty low point output. And you mentioned the movement. I was trying to watch that as much as I could while you still had like Rink doing his thing when he was on the floor. And I thought the same thing, like he didn't have the same type of movement that you've seen. He wasn't like we've talked about having like a pedometer on him. Like that thing would have been a little bit more low last night. Like I don't know what it was. I'm not sure exactly if he was just frustrated the way he's being defended, the foul trouble, what it was. But with all that happening, you still got guys that you can rely on. And again, if it's not Rink and CJ, then you could look at a Bryce Williams one night. Casey's going to have his nights. I mean, hell, we've seen Sam Hoiberg have some good offensive nights here and there too. So, I mean, they do have guys that are giving you quality minutes, both offensively and defensively. And, this is going to be kind of laughable, but maybe Jamarcus Lawrence can give you a second half like he did in the first half against Northwestern too, where he could put a couple of halves like that together. Because defensively, I know Fred likes what he's been doing and likes the fact that he's not turning the ball over. So again, there are roles there, but also you've got some scorers. I'm not going to talk about Jamarcus Lawrence as a scorer, but you've got roles there and guys that are kind of playing.
The weird part of this basketball team is I have no idea why they just continued last night to drive into traffic. At least they found that ain't working. They hit some mid-range jump shots, but they're a good team. That part of the construction is still in progress. Poll question, Jimmy, if you want to put this up. If Nebraska basketball just played at PBA and Peacock, would they win the national championship?
Yeah. That is true.
Right, Jack Collinsworth to the championship.
Double-digit victories as well.
Okay, question here about the because I was at the game. You were watching on Peacock, which I came home and started to watch I just wanted to watch certain pieces of the game. And their production level is pretty top notch.
It is pretty good.
Yeah, it's.
I know it's not popular to say I like it, but I like it.
It looks really, really good. Now, I still ask about the lag time.
And you should watch Ted.
What the lag time is compared to, like, are they 35 seconds behind, 40 seconds, whatever they are from the real time? But did it come across in the arena when the guard for Ohio State, Dale Bonner,
yes, it did.
Fouled?
Yes, it did.
So it did.
Yeah, the champ.
Yeah. Good on the student section. I've been a little.
They were
harsh on
back.
that, and
They were back, baby.
Yeah, I gotta work on that student section in Lincoln. It's not as good as it used to be. I don't know if those guys graduated or whatever. Everybody wants to be shirtless now.
Oh,
so when
it was warm yesterday.
when they pan the crowd, the different things they do.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to take their shirt off. Student section,
Jason Kelsey effect.
But the chant of Boner.
Yep.
For Dale Bonner, and he missed 3 free throws.
They're big fans of
Spot
Growing
on.
Pains.
I was just like
Spot
their
on.
favorite Growing Pains character.
Mhm.
Yes.
Boner.
Good friend.
I didn't know if they could hear that on
Oh
TV.
yeah, you could hear that pretty well. And then
Because
only
then the crowd then he checked back into the game, and well, there was a little confusion. So Ohio State had 2 guys check in, and one guy went first, and so immediately when that guy got off the bench, the student section was like, Boner, and then they're like, oh, that's not that guy. And then Dale Bonner gets up shortly after him, and they're like, Boner.
confusing him. It's like when you're doing the sit down chant, and then the guy refuses to sit down on the bench because he wants to milk
Well, I
it.
didn't know if that was.
It
could
came
tell that
across
on TV. That's good.
That came across, and then the only as we like to do on the Peacock broadcast, the odd things that you might only see on Peacock. I don't recall this happening, but it was Rink Mass when he had to come out because of the blood,
which made it an official Nebraska game that either Rink Mast had been cut or scratched or cut.
Yeah, he looks like he should be in
he's a cat wrangler.
Yeah, like he messes. Yeah, he has to deal with like raging felines every day. They spent an awful lot of time of watching that cut get sort of dapped up and corrected. The camera just sat there as he's just sitting on the elbow.
Ferdy
And
Pacheco.
I'm like, all right, do we just have no other camera angles? Do we have no other things that we can look at? Like, all you're doing is watching the trainer try to patch up Rink Mass, and at one point looked like you could see the detail of him actually getting into the cut. I'm like, wow, this is actually going on for quite a while here.
Did they show much of the kid and the goat yesterday?
I didn't see. No, missed opportunity.
They did not show Dylan and John Cook who were sitting next to each other.
No.
Wow.
You saw a lot of Becca Alec, maybe 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, the kid and the goat, and then a guy named Jalen were all sitting
one of
the baskets.
The only time they showed John Cook was
power couple right there.
They were showing him throwing out volleyballs when they were. Was it pregame or halftime? Is when they.
They came out on the floor. They honored him in the first or second timeout. And they threw T-shirts into the crowd.
That was
his effort was very lacking. He didn't even go overhand. He went underhand.
Oh, what?
Yeah, very disappointing.
Off season.
Yeah, that was the only time we saw John Cook on the broadcast. I was watching that thing intently.
Missed opportunity. So much content you could get from those two together.
Yeah,
do you think that if they would have shown the kid and the goat, Jack Collinsworth would have known who the kid is?
Nope.
Probably not.
It was
a young man sitting with his dad.
Interesting to watch. Nebraska has a brand that has a golden right arm. Dylan Raiola is a brand.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very popular person. Good on him. Everybody wanted to take a picture, an autograph, and there were people that were coming down, and I don't know if they realized who he was sitting next to.
Yeah.
So I'm like, that's John Cook. Why don't you want a picture with John Cook? Kid's popular, man.
He's getting pearls from the greatest.
Popular. They had to move him, so he was sitting with the volleyball team. And of course, once people realized, hey, there's the Nebraska volleyball team, they were been besieged with pictures and autographs. And they're like, wait a minute, that's Dylan Raiola.
Was Dylan sitting next to a volleyball player in particular?
I don't
See
know.
what you're trying to stir.
I was surprised he was sitting next with fellow student athletes. All right, 41 past the hour. Let me give you the lineup for today's show. It's brought to you by the rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard. Matt DeMarinis from White Blue Review will join us at 8. His thoughts on last night, what happened at the Chai, and moving forward. Creighton has DePaul on Saturday. Nebraska goes to Maryland for an 11 a.m. game on Saturday. So Matt will join us coming up at 8. Brandon Vogel stops by at 9:40. That's the lineup brought to you by the rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard. Can I say this? Because you guys heard the clips at the beginning about Bishop and the refs. I thought last night's Nebraska-Ohio State game was pretty well officiated. They just kind of let them play.
Yeah.
They just let them go. They didn't suffocate the game.
It was a good watch.
I thought it was okay last night.
Nothing at all jumped out of like, ooh, huh? So yeah.
Thoughts on red, thoughts on blue, thoughts on both teams being 15-5 on January 24th. The 42-degree Hotline is 951-1620, or you can email us into the Equitable Bank inbox, Gary at 1620thezone.com.
Handley, 1620thezone.com.
Or on the JTech Construction Zone Twitter feed at Gary Sharp 1620.
At Nick Handley, 1620.
What was that?
Just rattling off.
Why do you talk like that? Sometimes you're like,
It's a Tony Romo
excited
effect.
PA. Yeah, it is. Good call, Jimmy.
It's what?
He's getting into everybody. Tony Romo, he's infiltrating eventually, we're all going to start yelling like that.
If you talk like that, I would choke you. I would. You'd be done.
Awesome.
Yeah.
You know it's getting bad if you scream during the game.
I don't have that type of energy. Like I don't know. I don't know what someone has to be able to go through in life to have that type of energy for a 3.5-hour broadcast. There's just
usually it's cocaine.
There's no. Yeah. Exactly.
Whoa.
I don't know if I'm ready to say Tony's doing a little nose candy or anything.
Now
But,
we've gone really far here.
Can't he just like Red Bull or something? I don't know.
You know what? Your disdain for every Cowboy quarterback not named Babe Laufenberg is really showing.
All right, you win the day.
With Sharp and Handley and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com with Gary Sharp and Nick Handley. Remember, no matter how you listen, it's still AM radio. 1620 The Zone.
I'm Rick Betker from Omaha Car Care. We want to thank all our friends and clients who made 2023 a great year. And we hope you can help us spread joy to others. From now through January, we're hosting a boot drive for the kids of the Q school system. At this time of year, they could really use some warm boots. So if you could bring your new or gently used boots to any of our 4 locations, we'll make sure they get to kids in need. Thanks from Omaha Car Care.
Save now during the Start Something New sales event happening now at Woodhouse Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Get up to $13,000 off MSRP on the 2024 Ram 1500 Bighorn and Laramie, or choose 3.9% APR for 72 months. From work to play, our lineup of trucks offers advanced towing and hauling capabilities, plus a cabin with plenty of space for your crew and traveling essentials. Ram 1500 is the most luxurious and technologically advanced Ram 1500 ever, based on standards and available features offered. Get started today at WoodhouseCDJRBellevue.com or WoodhouseChryslerJeepDodge.com to find your next vehicle. Serving you since 1991. This is Woodhouse. With approved credit. Tax, title, license extra. Woodhouse discount of $5,500. Manufacturer incentive of $4,500. Lease loyalty bonus cash of $3,000. When financed from Chrysler Capital. $299 doc fee due at signing. Stock number C240142. Offer expires 1/31/24. See dealer for details.
It's the most time-honored tradition to start the weekend, grabbing a cold one from a local Nebraska brewery. Let's be real here. It's cold outside, and you don't want to drink the same boring beer as those Hawkeye fans. Drink Nebraska brewed beer, cider, or seltzers instead. Each week, we're putting the spotlight on a unique Nebraska brewery with One Beer Friday. Share your brew on social media with the hashtag One Beer Friday, and you'll be entered to win a $25 gift card to a local Nebraska brewery. Nebraska is the good life with great beer. Click nebraska.beer to learn more.
I'm Justin Jefferson with the Minnesota Vikings.
Hi, I'm Jamar Chase with the Cincinnati Bengals.
Nobody can stop it. Why do I choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Because I only go all out.
Because I can't be stopped. Because my Sleep Number smart bed helps me sleep at the right temperature all night.
So we can take our game to the next level. That's why 80% of NFL players choose the Sleep Number smart bed. Sleep next level, perform next level.
And now, save 40% on the Sleep Number Special Edition Smart Bed. Ends Monday. To learn more, go to sleepnumber.com. Sleep Number, the official sleep and wellness partner of the NFL.
Rock and Roll Hall of Famers, the Doobie Brothers, Tom Johnston, Michael McDonald, Pat Simmons, and John McPhee.
The 2024 tour with very special guest Steve Winwood. This is going to be one incredible night. The Doobie Brothers with Steve Winwood. Performing at CHI Health Center August 27th. Get tickets this Friday at 10 a.m. at LiveNation.com. The Doobie Brothers, the 2024 tour. With very special guest Steve Winwood. Performing at CHI Health Center August 27th. The Doobie Brothers. Playing the biggest hits. Get tickets this Friday at 10 a.m.
For more, visit thedoobybrothers.com.
Host is roasting every morning. Host is roasting every day.
Since 1972, family-owned and locally roasted Host Coffee Service has been roasting the finest coffee for businesses and restaurants. If you're ready to change to a better coffee provider, it's time for Host Coffee.
Omaha's best coffee since 1972. Host Coffee is always roasting something good for you.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
If you're having problems in the bedroom, talking about it is the last thing you want to do. Same goes for hair loss, anxiety, or even depression. That's where HIMS comes in. Through HIMS, you don't have to talk about it. You can do something about it. Just go to hims.com/start, where you can find a variety of potential solutions for the problems men face every day and save up to 95% on generic alternatives. The entire process is 100% online, making it incredibly simple, straightforward, and above all, private. If prescribed, treatments made using clinically proven ingredients are shipped directly to your door in low-key packaging. So if you're experiencing ED, hair loss, anxiety, or problems with your general health, you don't have to go to the doctor, the pharmacy, or spend all day talking about it. Just go to hims.com/start and do something about it. Get started today at hims.com/start. That's HIMS.com/START.
And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
Got it! Got it! Got it!
And as it says in the scorebook, relentless. He always posts his scorebook.
Oh, okay.
And then after a victory, and I believe it's the exact same thing he did after the Purdue one. It
Good
was
bounce back for
relentless.
the Flying Dutchman, or as Sean would like to call him, the Dutch Oven.
I don't know about that one.
That might be tough to explain to the people in the Netherlands.
Dunkin'
that
Dutchman
and-
is taken.
Again, I responded to Sean saying that could impact his personal life if you trying to get with the ladies and you're known as the Dutch Oven. I don't know.
Why do they call you meat?
Yeah, his personality doesn't.
I'm the one with Porsche.
He's a funny guy who, good on him, man. One game didn't affect the other, and the last two didn't affect last night. And he shot the ball. He had step back three. He looked so comfortable to shoot. He had 34 points on 17 field goal attempts. That's pretty efficient.
But he made the what? It was the three consecutive. Yeah, I didn't think he was going to miss after that. When he actually missed, that was probably like the biggest shock of the night. I'm like, oh, okay.
Here's
missed a
another
shot.
part about the Hoiberg thing, and we mentioned his name, but we don't go deep, even though we probably should. Like, his son is a glue guy, but look at the additions this year. And Bryce Williams was better last night. Rink Mast has been everything is advertised. Fred's kind of been a little boomer bust on portal guys. When they're good, they're really good. When they're bad, they just disappear. His addition of Mast, he has been a catalyst since he showed up. I mean, he hit a home run on him.
Yeah.
And he's adapted to the Big Ten. And you're going to need to start to stack more performances like last night. Now, they don't need 34 out of him every night. Now, you take it. But for him to bounce back, the last two games he wasn't good, and especially against Rutgers, he was god-awful. And he was bad on both ends of the floor.
Yeah, defensively, especially against Rutgers.
He got abused so much that there's probably a guy in jail in Piscataway for abusing Rink Mast. And then
his name's Amori.
And then he wasn't really good against Northwestern. But you know what? Last night he just let the game come to him. He just was nice, free, and flowing. And he was also aggressive. I mean, that's the thing. I'm Chris Holtman. I'm watching film of that. I'm thinking, they're beating us everywhere. They are beating us everywhere on the glass. Ohio State's a much larger team. Nebraska out rebounded Ohio State.
Yeah, that was the huge part of this game, too, given the fact that, 35%? That was the rate of offensive rebounds as Ohio State came in. I mean, they're one of the best offensive rebounding teams in the Big Ten and in college basketball. And you're able to withstand all of that and out-rebound them, not give them second opportunities. Like, that part of it was huge. The other thing about, like, watching Rink, Again, I will be the first to admit I was extremely hard on him the following day after the Rutgers game.
Good on you, though. He wasn't very good against Rutgers, and he had a chance to make 2 winning plays just passing the ball, and he didn't.
Yep. Shot the ball, and you could tell that. And again, maybe now looking back, he was fatigued. Even more reason not to take those shots. But here's the one thing that I've kind of noticed about him, watching his body language in that game, but also watching it last night, and then listening to him talk last night. He's one of those guys I don't think it really phases him.
Yeah,
I just don't think that he's someone that's, even if he's having a bad first half, that I could go ahead and be confident that he could rebound in the second half and actually do some things offensively or defensively that you need him to do, because I don't think he allows that stuff to do. He just doesn't come across as a guy who's really changed his demeanor. He's very much like Fred. He's a very much like Fred, where he just seems extremely even keeled. That's why I think I don't want to say he's going to have more nights like he had last night, but I think kind of like this team, if he has a bad one, you can rely on him having a pretty solid bounce back.
All right, here is Doug, old man Doug, into his own inbox, the Equitable Bank inbox. Doug is has had hip replacement surgery.
Godspeed, Doug.
So
he'll be
he's in
swinging
the
the golf
hospital,
clubs
so he's
before he
listening to the
does it.
show. So we're going to try and cheer him up here.
Yeah.
A couple of things that he notes. Nothing better than reading the paper the day after the Jays victory and having the Huskers raise their net. We're both 15-5. I just want people to say that out loud.
That he's reading the paper too.
Think 15-5.
Mm-hmm.
Nebraska's 15-5. Creighton is 15-5. Good on you, Fred Hoiberg. But I know there's still people out there that will not believe in you if you drop a game on Saturday at Maryland. But then you know what? You got a chance to get them back 1 week from tomorrow night at Pinnacle Bank Arena. Wisconsin rolls into town.
Yep.
Great opportunity. Hoping the Huskers will play in Omaha for the NCAA. So that has that showed up in Tim Kruger's bracket. People got excited. I can tell you my discussion at Gate 25 last night after the game. Good spot. Why do you laugh?
Nice burgers.
Gate 25 has changed because there's an adult running the Nebraska football program.
Okay.
And if you act like a kid of late, then you've been kicked out of the program. That's all I'm saying.
All right,
but there were no coaches there last night.
Good.
Even the young guy was not there last night.
Okay, because there was 2 or 3 or 4 years ago when Gate 25 be brought up. There was usually stories.
You got an adult running the athletic department. You got an adult running the football program.
You can have a nice lunch there.
But there were quite a few recognizable people in there last night. The general sentiment is the Nebraska basketball fan does not want to be in Omaha.
I get it.
The ticket prices would be enormous, and might take away from the experience. Now,
more of the
NCAA
experience.
period. But we're looking at Spokane.
Nice place.
We've talked about Spokane. I think I made a pact with somebody last night that if they're in Spokane, I like Spokane. Let's go to Spokane.
John Schreiner gives it an endorsement. He had a good time.
And you've been there, right?
Numerous times. Yes.
Okay.
Really beautiful city.
Accessibility. How easy? As far as getting from here to there?
Not bad. I mean, you go through Denver and then you fly right into Spokane.
Okay.
Spokane's a lot larger than you would think.
Okay.
Doug also says, as I hate scalpers, I never sell my tickets for more than faces. I bought them to attend. Thank you.
Oh,
I hope Jays fans
Doug,
will do that.
you are a man of the
You
people.
will pay as much as that.
Good for you, Doug.
Nebraska in the NCAA as low as 8, as high as 12. I can see that.
Yeah. I feel like that would be a fair ceiling, 8.
I don't know if this is an intentional mention. I love the way Ashworth is getting with the team. He has at least neutralized the loss of Gonzaga.
Oh, see what he did there.
You'd want to name him by name?
Need to get at least 10 quality minutes from King. DePaul will provide that opportunity.
Oh, if you're looking for some PT, Saturday's your night.
Here we go. Sean Miller's a cheating punk and always will be.
Wow.
Maybe he was surprised that the officials will actually call a foul when a player gets shoved. He got some anger issues. He is not a guy that is calm, cool, and collected.
No.
But so you're in that environment downtown, and you know that Creighton has spurtability, and they got the big three that are churning, and they've been struggling a little bit. And then they hit one shot. McDermott coaches circles around you with a sideline out of bounds play, and you're like, whoa. You turn to your assistant and go, we're screwed. And then the crowd gets into it. I I wonder what that feeling is like on that bench, because the Chi is one place where once Creighton makes a shot in a comeback or to go from 3 to 9 to 12, that they feed off the crowd, that sitting on the opposing bench when you've led and you just feel it slipping away
Feels
has
helpless.
to be just a miserable experience.
Yeah, helpless.
But you didn't help yourself last night by just losing your, you know what. The officiating was below average, but consistent.
So it was
Breeding, sadly,
consistently below average.
Breeding, sadly, is the Big East best official.
Again, watching that game, didn't feel like it was the Creighton getting jobbed. The Seton Hall game where there was some real bad missed calls.
Trey Alexander got a call and he went to the line. It's baby steps on the officiating in the Big East.
That is true. And they didn't show, that was the only thing I was kind of disappointed in on the FS1 broadcast. They did not show it would have been Trey Alexander that looked like he probably made contact with his elbow to McKnight. Now, again, intentional or not, they didn't really show much of that. I didn't see anything that was so egregious that wasn't being sort of doled out both ways. Where if you're a Creighton fan, I know Doug is. Thank you, Doug, for saying it didn't seem like it was below average, but it was consistent. Like that's probably a good way to put it. As far as maybe some people would say that it's here's Creighton getting worked by the officials again. I didn't see that. Maybe somebody else saw that. I did not see that. But the other part
Let's
of that,
see if Bishop thought that way.
Well, exactly. Clearly, he was seeing something down there on the floor that I wasn't. But I think if you're someone that is kind of in that mindset, you've experienced it where you think that that's the case. Maybe any time you feel you don't get a call and you're kind of disregarding when another team doesn't get a call either, you're just kind of focused on your team. Maybe that's just your train of thought, and there's no going back. There's just no going back there.
When you get squeezed, the identity comes out, and they got squeezed, and their coach is a hothead who was not under control, and his team was right there with him on the floor. I think Creighton would eventually won that game because I think they were starting to, unlike the first half, they're starting to string some stops together.
Yeah.
And Shireman wasn't. That was one of those nights where Shireman wasn't going to let Creighton lose. But man, you did that game changed when you got the technical. I mean, that just I don't know what you're thinking at that point. And he could have been thrown out of the game. He didn't stop.
Yeah.
He was continuing to go at them. And look what happened. His team was done after that.
Mm-hmm.
They were discombobulated, as my friend Bobby likes to use. Terry writes into the Equitable Bank inbox. Hi, guys. Hi, Terry.
Hi, Terry.
Rink was definitely in fuego last night. He's so good, he made us forget about Derek Walker. Who would have thought that at the end of March last year?
It's a great point.
I'm gonna have some Rink love here. Rink is what Nebraska thought they were getting. Nebraska, that's a good pickup. They got exactly what they thought. It's not like, oh man, this guy's a bum and he hasn't lived up to expectations. I think they've gotten everything have wanted out of him. Now, having the intangible of what Derek Walker brought, I don't think they've been able to fill that gap fully. But in terms of having a big man, and in a program where you have a head coach that's not his forte, is recruiting a true Big Ten 5. I think Mast has been as advertised.
And to like the Derek Walker part of that, there's the one similarity that you have with Derek Walker and Rink Mast, and that's the fact that both the teams as big men lead the team in assists, which is great. But the presence, I think that's where everybody talked about, Griesel and Walker and what they meant to that team, both on and off the floor. For a transfer to come in and sort of supplant himself as one of the leaders of that group is not easy to do. But that was what we were hearing from day one, is when Rink Mast, from the first time that he got there, was showing good leadership, really got along with the team very well. And he's a guy that's the way that he kind of speaks about his teammates too, you're never going to have the same type of impact because, again, this is his first year. But I think just from that standpoint, That's as good as you can expect as far as him coming in, not only impacting the team on the floor, but also being a good locker room guy and trying to maintain what was a very solid culture a year ago that I think this program was very proud of, especially with what they had in those two with Griesel and Derek Walker, that I think what you have, and between CJ Wilcher too, who's been through it now too, but guys that are considered to be kind of the leaders, and then another transfer in Josiah Alec. I think you couldn't expect much more than what he's given from that standpoint. That was always going to be so irreplaceable, but I think he's done a pretty good job, as good as he can. I thought it was funny last night, though. Apparently, Josiah Alec had the post-game speech in the locker room, and Fred had to give him the hook. Apparently, it was going too long. But the
violin started playing.
Yeah, like the Oscar music. But they've got personalities, and that's the other thing where I would say what's been different about this team and their struggles compared to teams in years past is maybe this is the best way. They're very forgivable because there are personalities, because they're a very likable team. Like there were times when, some of those first couple teams that Fred had, they would lose a game and you're looking for some type of redeeming quality to like believe in or something to even kind of like embrace or rally behind. And it just wasn't there.
They look like a basketball team. They're 15-5. Don't overthink this. They look like a basketball team, and that's easy to enjoy. Not a bunch of mercenaries out there just playing YOLO basketball or ISO. They look like a basketball team that's connected. And we talked last month.
That's why they're winning.
They're very likable.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they're relatable to the Nebraska basketball fan that just wants the bare minimum, and then they get greedy and we say, "Oh, let's go to Spokane." They are 15-5. They're 15-5. It's January 24th. That's a pretty big accomplishment considering where this program has been, and losing a Griesel and a Walker from last year.
Yeah,
they're 15-5.
Ken emails into Doug's inbox and says, "A great place for food and beverages in Spokane is 24 Taps and Brewers. They serve a tasty burger there. So mark that down and do your research."
We are so far ahead. So far ahead.
Don't even begin the conversations
He's
of
just
hotel
talking
booking.
about burgers.
Because the last time we
Spokane.
did that was in the fall. We started talking about booking hotels to Vegas, and we saw how that went.
It's all about the wording. If
I
you
think
just said to go see the Sphere.
You know what? On the scale of they're going to do it, I think I'm pretty strong here. But I think it's 7 more. 7 more. 7 of the next 11. And,
That's fair.
7 along the way. I'll throw in the Big Ten tournament as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what you got to do. But you have some landmines, quad 3 games. But the next 4 are quad 1. Road game, home game, monster home game a week from tomorrow. And then a couple on the road before you go, oh, here come the quad 3ers. Jimmy's got an update coming up next. Matt DeMarinis coming up top of the 8 o'clock hour as Creighton won back-to-back games, gritty wins, triple OT against Seton Hall, and then last night, that game, now ahead is DePaul in the middle game of this 3-game homestand. So Matt stops by at 8, Brandon Vogel at 9:40 as well. On Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
More with Gary and Nick after this on 1620 The Zone. Live from the Host Coffee Studio. This is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Zoom Drain Time-Saving Traffic Center. That earlier accident at 192nd on the on-ramp to Dodge eastbound has traffic backed up in both directions. Do expect delays out there. Another accident reported at 138th just north of Harrison. And do watch out for that fog that's rolling in over parts of the metro. It could impact visibility in some areas. Please drive safe. Wear those seatbelts. I'm Peter Krenzer.
This time-saving traffic was brought to you by Lauritsen Gardens. Experience Brick Live Brickosaurs, now open at Lauritsen Gardens. Come face-to-face with a herd of incredible brick-built dinosaurs, discover prehistoric plants, and unearth a ton of fun. To plan your family's dynamite adventure, visit lauritsenGardens.org.
Kevin Moret from Mentality Men's Health. Guys, over 23,000 clients have sought treatment and Mentality for low T. Most of our new clients have tried online treatment and mail order medications. Your hormones balance your physiology and influence all areas of your mental and physical performance. There are subtle but critical aspects of treatment that will be missed if you work with a provider that does not see you. It's just too risky to go it alone. Come partner with us today, and we can make this year the best you've ever looked, felt, and performed. Schedule in Omaha at lowtusa.com. That's lowtusa.com.
The Zone Inbox is brought to you by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Email me, Connor Happer, with the Connor Happer Show at Connor, CONNOR, at 1620thezone.com. Send me your love, your hate, and maybe a few hot takes. The Zone Inbox, presented by Equitable Bank. 1620 The Zone is on location Friday, January 26th at American Cancer Society's Hope Lodge, Nebraska, in support of the Creighton Pinkout Game, a free home away from home for cancer patients and caregivers. You can find details on 1620thezone.com and at cancer.org/pinkout.
To my newborn baby boy, the day you arrived was one of the happiest days of my life. Right up there with the day I bought my RV from that guy on the internet and insured it with Progressive. What a deal. Just know, son, I'll always be here for you. And by here, I mean in the middle of absolutely nowhere. In my RV.
Protect your baby with an RV policy from Progressive. Take as little as 4 minutes to see what you could save at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Nate Bargatze, the Be Funny Tour.
I mean, Chuck E. Cheese is rough. I don't know if you've been there in a while. They look like they're trying to go to business and they can't.
All new material.
They filed for bankruptcy and they're still open. They called Blockbuster and they're like, how do you get out? We want out.
Nate Bargatze.
Saturday, June 29th, CHI Health Center. Tickets available at Ticketmaster.com. Produced by Outback Presents.
Don't miss Nate Bargatze, the Be Funny Tour.
Cards issued by Sutton Bank and Celtic Bank, members FDIC. Terms and conditions apply.
Are you the decision maker in your company? Do you want more control over your business spending? Meet Ramp, the only corporate card and spend management platform designed to save you time and money. Ramp offers unlimited corporate cards with spend controls you can customize to stop wasteful spending before it happens. Ramp makes expense reports a breeze by automatically collecting receipts and matching them to the right transaction. You'll close your books in hours instead of days. Ramp allows you to see all of your company spend in one place, so you can make quick, informed decisions about your business finances. Plus, Ramp will share insights based on your spending to help you cut costs. Over 15,000 businesses have added up to 5% to their bottom line with Ramp. You can be one of them. If you're a decision maker, adding Ramp could be one of the best decisions you've ever made. And now get $250 when you join Ramp. Just go to ramp.com/sports. Ramp.com/sports. ramp.com/sports.
The world's largest sports book in Las Vegas is available right at your fingertips in Iowa. The Circa Sports Iowa app is sports betting the way it should be. Bet anywhere in Iowa and experience high betting limits, tight money line splits, and exceptional customer service. Download your new bookie today. Visit circasports.com and start betting like a pro from anywhere in Iowa. If you or someone you know may have a problem with gambling, call 1-800-238-7633.
Tickets for less. Best seats, best prices, no service fees. Shop ticketsforless.com. KOZN Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620 The Zone. Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
In high school basketball, number 2 Millard North defeats Westside 76-56. They improved to 13-2, and the Warriors dropped to 11-4 on the girls' side in a battle of Class A number 1s versus 2. Top-ranked Millard West beats Lincoln Southwest 56-39. The Creighton women are at Georgetown tonight. Tip-off is just after 6 o'clock. In the NBA, after firing Adrian Griffin, the Milwaukee Bucks have reached out to Doc Rivers and are engaging him in conversations about the franchise's head coaching job and how to blow a 3-1 lead in the playoffs. Rivers, a current TV analyst who led the Sixers to 3 consecutive trips to the Eastern Conference semifinals before exiting last spring, is the top target of the Bucks' search to replace Griffin, who was fired despite having the second-best record in the Eastern Conference. He was 30-13. He came to the Bucks largely because the organization believed it could find an upgrade on the coach who could better win or better chance to compete for a championship after they fired Coach Bud last year. They had dropped, however, from 4th to 22nd in defensive efficiency from a season ago, and although some of that can be attributed to the loss of all-star guard Drew Holiday, the Portland Trailblazers are filing a protest with the NBA to challenge the result of a 111-109 loss to the Durs last night. The Blazers are contending that Coach Chauncey Billups, with a 109-108 lead, was clearly calling a timeout on the sideline before a referee whistled a double dribble on guard Malcolm Brogdon with 15.1 seconds left in the fourth quarter. in Oklahoma City. In response, Billups reacted angrily to what he believed was a failure to honor his timeout request. He was assessed 2 technical fouls, including a second after marching onto the floor to argue, and he was invited to leave for the final seconds of the game. According to a poll report interview, crew chief Bill Kennedy said Billups was not granted a timeout, obviously, because the referee was focused on the play in front of him, making it difficult for him to hear and see Billups's request. Finally, sad news. Uga 10, the English Bulldog who patrolled the sideline for the most successful run in Georgia Bulldogs football history, has died, as it was announced yesterday. Known as Q, wonder if it's short for barbecue, the mascot officially became Uga 10 at age 2 in a collaring ceremony on November 21st of 2015. During his 8-season tenure as mascot, Georgia went 91-18, won 2 national championships, all because of the dog, 2 SEC titles, and made 7 New Year's 6 bowl appearances. Uga 10 retired following the 2022 season, giving way to Boom, also known as Uga 11. They are part of a line of English Bulldog mascots, which began in 1955. And of course, Uga 10 made national headlines for his tense pregame encounter with Bevo 15, the Longhorn steer that serves as the mascot for the Texas Longhorns at the Sugar Bowl in 2019. As the handlers for Bevo 15 and Uga tried to position a pair for a pregame photo op, Bevo charged in Uga's direction, invoking memories of Ivan Drago going at Apollo Creed, knocking down the metal barriers surrounding him and leading to a brief moment of chaos as Uga scampered out of the way and said, "The hell with this. A damn good dog who enjoyed kibble, water, tummy rubs, walks, and moving his bowels from time to time."
What are you writing, the storyline for Raw on Netflix?
Uga 10 was just 10 years old.
The hell with this.
Hey, I'm pro Bulldog.
Bulldogs are great.
I wanted to have one so bad, but it'd be a little tough when I was living in Florida. And I also lived in a 2-story, so they can't go up. Yeah. So I'm still on pro Bulldogs. I love Uga. Everybody is getting a golden doodle. I am still pro Bulldog.
I'm a golden
Rest
doodle
in peace, Uga.
Very
popular. Everybody got a golden doodle. Very popular.
They come with a free Instagram
Hey,
post.
don't forget about the Bulldog. The Bulldog needs
Bulldogs
some
are great.
love.
They walk at you crooked.
Butler, Drake.
They make a bunch of different noises too. You can hear them like from like a mile away. But yeah, the one thing that I always notice about Bulldogs is they never like walk at you like in a straight line. They're kind of like angled.
Well, it's like a sobriety test.
It's very unique. They're cute. They're absolutely cute. I know they're a lot of high maintenance.
I'd get a Bulldog or a Saint Bernard.
Oh, Beethoven.
But yeah, that's immediately I think of Beethoven.
I'd go Bulldog. A little lower maintenance.
Now, can I speak highly though?
I'm never home, so I wouldn't be able to.
Of Team Golden Doodle, the reason the Golden Doodles are popular is they're very trainable.
Oh,
you don't have the.
They're great dogs. I know quite a few people that have Golden Doodles.
Yeah.
I'm just like, it became like, okay, you got one, I got to get one. I just don't forget about the Bulldog.
I love the Bulldogs. Favorite dog, Vizsla. Vizslas are amazing.
Butler's Bulldog is in a commercial where he's running across the campus.
I thought you were going to say your favorite Bulldog was Tucker DeVries.
Now we're actually getting to people who were a part of a Bulldog. Okay.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Well
hey,
done.
Tonight, again, I said this yesterday. Good luck to the Supernovas. They're playing down at the Chi. They take on Atlanta, where
most hated rivals.
They're expecting about 10,000 in there. It's as I look at this, and I've been in that kind of industry before, and you're in a state that we love our volleyball, and they have done a lot of right things in the lead up to this. They paid their bills, most importantly, which minor league teams that have come and gone have forgotten to pay their bills.
Don't take
including a guy that did radio for him for a bit. They'd never like to give me my $1,500. I'd be very, very happy. But it's a cool day, and there will be a lot of people there, and a lot of people that have had their hand in volleyball in this state will be involved as well. And so, I hope that the league survives. I have no worries about like Omaha doing well. Yeah. Omaha's done everything right. They got a great setup. They're the favorites. If you're a diehard volleyball fan, you recognize a lot of names. That whole league and the survival of Omaha will not be about the Supernovas. It'll be about the rest of the league. Because I can't imagine the other teams in the league are as well equipped and a well-oiled machine like we have here in Omaha. So Omaha could do everything right. And the other teams, what are there? 7 other teams? 7 other teams could fail, and that league falls apart.
Yeah.
And it won't be Omaha's fault. So that's the survival, because that's a question I got yesterday is how long? And I'm like, you know what? It all is about the rest of the league. It's not about Omaha. Omaha will survive, but if they don't have a league to play in, they ain't going to survive.
And I hope that the way that Omaha is doing business with this thing, I hope that is kind of the standard throughout this league. And if that is, if you're, as you mentioned, the most important thing, you're paying your bills, but you're also not coming up with these absolutely unrealistic expectations of what you should be doing and budgeting for that as a league, which we saw at the Omaha Nighthawks. And the same thing with the UFL. When they were here, Omaha did a fantastic job of supporting the Omaha Nighthawks. You would see, former NFL players. You would see former Nebraska players, Crouch and Amon Green playing. Then you'd see, like I mentioned, former NFL. Some people got into that. And that was the last year of Rosenblatt, too. So it was never a situation of, could Omaha sustain this? It was, I forget how you say his last name, Michael Huey or Hayu or whatever his name was. He was partners at one point with Nevin Shapiro. We all remember him. But their expectations for what they could do and the amount of money that they were seeking to try to get bigger and better and try to land TV deals it just was unrealistic. You didn't kind of ease into it and have modest expectations, modest budgetary constraints, and then kind of work from there and kind of go off the first couple of years and see if there is popularity. And then if you can build from that, they went all in. And so the thing that gives me confidence is there's enough examples of professional sports leagues throughout this country, the fly-by-night type of leagues that have come through and have just failed because of the unrealistic financial expectations and budgets that they put out there.
I think the Nighthawks, though, they had people in that league that want to take on the NFL, which was absolutely ridiculous.
Right.
The NFL is Godzilla.
Mm-hmm.
And then saying, hey, we'll partner with the NFL, but they wanted these just enormous fees for their players.
Right.
They did not have smart people running that organization at all. This appears to me they have smart people, that they are set up for success. And really, in the game of volleyball in this country, we've never had this. We've had teases. I think this is going to work. I think the right people are involved. There's a lot of money. They got a national TV deal. Look at tonight's match is on TV in the state, which is pretty cool. The only other thing that I'm very curious to watch, and what do they play? 12 home matches?
Yeah, I think that's
so. They're going to draw well tonight. It'll be really, really cool.
Yeah, and you're not in competition with really anything else going on.
When I was in minor league baseball, we always built for opening night. Opening night, July 4th. Those are 2 huge nights. But what are you doing with the other 70 nights to make sure that you got butts and seats? That'll be the thing. They might get 10,000 tonight, and I know that they can survive around 5,000 per match. You'd almost, in this town, you'd be like, I'm a little disappointed they're not drawing more than 5,000. But what is the rent like downtown?
Right.
I can't imagine that the rent in the Chai is they're like giving them a deal. Hey, $1. Yeah. So
or the old Ralston Arena deal where they gave the Lancers free rent. They would just take concessions.
Yeah. So that's those are questions I have, but I think this is going to work. Omaha has the right people, and they've done a lot of smart things. It's just, can the rest of the league keep up with Omaha in how they're structurally built? Because I don't know that you'll see the attendance numbers that you'll see in Omaha, like in Atlanta.
Yeah.
I mean,
the Hawks aren't going to even draw there.
So I hope it's going to be really, really cool. I think it's a nice addition to the sporting community, and I wish them well, because they have a lot of really talented people that are in their front office. And then after you get past all of that, it's like, oh my God, these are some great volleyball players. We've seen the best of the best with the 3 major college basketball volleyball programs in the state. Now we get to see pro, and you go, whoa.
Yeah. And I would also throw this as an example too. And this is something that I think that they've done fantastically from the time that they announced this professional volleyball team in the league, was their presence in the community. Seen them everywhere, and especially during the summer.
Oh yeah, you're right.
They're all over the place. Yeah. So I mean, and so you're drawing up interest there. You're making young fans. I remember my wife and Reese were at Rocket Car Wash, and they were out there doing a promotion there. And my son got a picture with Gina Mancuso, and I got to tell him about, oh yeah, that's a Nebraska volleyball player. And so he was interested in wanting to see volleyball. Like, they're doing a good job of drumming up interest, because I remember when I used to do PA for Omaha Xarban Knights, when they were only here for 2 years with the Calgary Flames, they had zero presence and they tried to force it down your throat. They figured, hey, we've heard Omaha is a hockey town. So even though they have college hockey and they have the Lancers, we're going to go ahead and try to cut in line, and we're going to force it down your throat. We're going to charge you $40 to $60 to watch what was fantastic hockey if you went, but $40 to $60 to watch that at the Civic Auditorium was not going to fly with a Omaha hockey fan base that already had options and had organizations or programs that have already they've kind of waited their turn. And you can't just do that. And again, everything about the Supernovas, they've done it the right way leading up to tonight. They've been present. It seems like they've been.
Telling me one thing they didn't do right. Just should be Supernova.
No, well, that is true. I don't like the Supernovas, but hey, they can't all be winners, right? No. But yeah, their presence, and I think that's going to continue to. That is the right way to go. And I think Diane Mendenhall, she knew that from the get-go of being embraced by the community. You have to be out there, and you have to be able to promote the product, and they've done a fantastic job.
Plus their competition. I mean, is this the right time of the year? They're going to find out. Is it better during the summer when there's really nothing going on? But, are you on the radar? This is starting in February. This is still a basketball town.
Yep.
We're still paying a lot of attention to basketball, but major college volleyball is not going on. So we'll see. I'm very curious to watch. I hope they have a great crowd tonight, which they will. I think they got 10,000 tickets that are out. But the rest of the league needs to be like Omaha for it to succeed. Yep. When we come back, the love for Omaha and our love of sports, what in the heck happened with the College Baseball Hall of Fame? We'll get into that when we come back. It's Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone. Hey, if you went to the Nebraska game last night, or you went to the Creighton game last night, or you're going to go watch Omaha play next week against St. Thomas, which is a huge game, you want to have front row seats. You want to have the best seats in the house. You want to have zero per ticket fees. You want to have the convenience of getting in and out and your tickets on your mobile app. I got a place for you. Ticketsforless.com. That's the place I go. That's the place Nick went to get tickets to go see a show that has not yet been announced. Hey, he went to ticketsforless.com. He downloaded the Tickets for Less app, used my promo code THEZONE, got a great deal. Never any per ticket fees. It is super convenient. Transparency on the pricing. Ticketsforless.com. They have tickets to all the best local events, national events, concerts as well. Go to ticketsforless.com or download the Tickets for Less app and make sure at checkout you use my promo code THEZONE for additional savings at Tickets for Less.
Gary Sharp, Nick Handley, and Jimmy Chavez. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Weekdays 6 to 10 on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Previously on Unsportsmanlike Conduct.
Do you think the top part of a mermaid also tastes like fish, or would it actually be red meat?
I think it kind of blends toward the waist, like in the middle, you'd get like a nice cut of both.
Wouldn't the top half of the mermaid be white meat?
No, are people white meat?
No, we're red meat, John.
The breasts! The breasts!
Oh, those.
Unsportsmanlike Conduct with John Bishop and Josh Peterson. Weekdays 2 to 6 on 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast from the Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV News Watch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
Another damp and foggy start Wednesday. Dense fog advisory remains in effect until noon for the Omaha Metro. Afternoon, fog lifts a bit more, staying cloudy and cool with highs in the mid-30s. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV News Watch 7.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Zoom Drain Time-Saving Traffic Center, accident reported I-80 eastbound at 72nd Street on the right shoulder. This is causing slow traffic back to 84th, and reports of some pretty heavy traffic dodge eastbound between 156th and 144th, as well as JFK northbound between Childs and I-80. Please be safe out there and wear those seatbelts. I'm Peter Krenzer.
This time-saving traffic was brought to you by Fernando's.
Love Languages, presented by Fernando's. 2 acts of service.
I made you tacos.
Come and feel the love at Fernando's, 75th and Pacific, 114th and Dodge, and FernandosOmaha.com.
This is a sale so hot, Standard Heating and Air can only do it once a year. Right now, buy a Carrier air conditioner from Standard Heating and Air and get a free furnace. Now, that's a hot deal.
StandardAC.com, where we do the things we do.
Carrier, turn to the experts.
It's time to make good on those New Year's fitness resolutions by becoming a member at Croc Center Omaha. We've got a full range of fitness activities, free weights, Zumba classes, an indoor water park, pickleball courts, and much more. And right now is the perfect time to join. Sign up before the end of February, and you can start your membership for just $1. Plus, we'll waive the registration fee. The Croc Center is just moments away from the Kennedy Freeway and Q Street. Go to omahacroc.org for more information. That's omahakroc.org.
Omaha Maverick Hockey is the hottest ticket in town and is fifth in the country in attendance. NCHC play is heating up as Minnesota Duluth, Colorado College, and North Dakota enter the intimidating confines of Baxter Arena. Also, Maverick men's basketball is in fourth place in the Summit League and making a run at the league title as they take on second place St. Thomas and first place South Dakota State. Let's pack the Baxter. Get your tickets now by calling the box office at 402-554-MAVS or at omavs.com/tigs.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
If you're having problems in the bedroom, talking about it is the last thing you want to do. Same goes for hair loss, anxiety, or even depression. That's where HIMS comes in. Through HIMS, you don't have to talk about it. You can do something about it. Just go to hims.com/start, where you can find a variety of potential solutions for the problems men face every day and save up to 95% on generic alternatives. The entire process is 100% online, making it incredibly simple, straightforward, and above all, private. If prescribed, treatments made using clinically proven ingredients are shipped directly to your door in low-key packaging. So if you're experiencing ED, hair loss, anxiety, or problems with your general health, you don't have to go to the doctor, the pharmacy, or spend all day talking about it. Just go to hims.com/start and do something about it. Get started today at hims.com/start. That's HIMS.com/START.
Hey everyone, gather round. It's time for corny jokes about passing the torch.
The team at Kirian's Welding was fused together solid.
Thanks for all the late nights and early shifts.
But double retirements mean the crew must bond with some certified new hires.
You've both gone the extra millimeter.
Indeed can help them hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Our hiring platform instantly connects you with quality candidates, and you can schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from the Indeed dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
All right, welcome back into Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Jimmy here is well on this Wednesday. The Lego Maniac writes into the Equitable Bank inbox. At least he's consistent here. So... Was it after Iowa? I think it was after Iowa. He was all out on Nebraska's road to the NCAA tournament.
I got a bunch of emails from Zach after Rutgers, too.
But he was done. He was done.
Yeah.
So I'm glad he hasn't come back. Okay? Even on the road to 22.
Mm-hmm.
His email, and I'm being a little bit facetious here because we like the Lego Maniac. The win over Ohio State was nice, but the performance from Mast is fool's gold. He has not had an answer for athletic centers in the Big Ten. He caught lightning in a bottle and made 6 threes. That isn't something he can count on. Also, Nebraska isn't a tournament team until they can figure out how to not play like trash on the road. And if Nebraska does make the NCAA tournament, unfortunately for them, they won't be playing in Lincoln because they only play well in Lincoln. That is from
and on Peacock,
Zach.
The rink mass part of it
now.
If you're saying fools,
I know. Isn't that like, you're all excited that Nebraska and Creighton have the same record?
Happy for
and
everybody.
Then Zach comes along, and Zach just tinkles over everything.
Yeah.
Connor Harper shows.
Next thing I know is he's going to tell me that Dylan's trash and Danny Kalin should be the starting quarterback. I'm waiting for that email in 3, 2, 1.
That Nebraska's starting quarterback is not on campus right now?
Nebraska may not win a game next year.
I mean, if
volleyball comes through, because boy, football is going to be bad.
It's going to snow again eventually.
if you're saying that rink mast, by the way, guys, I get my snow blower back today. So
Could you go work on Capitol
So
here?
hopefully we're thwarting any of the.
Hey, real quick.
Hmm?
So, any sporting event you go to that you sit around people that you know becomes like a social gathering, and people kind of. It's basically it's Facebook out loud.
How would you know? You're not on Facebook.
We're very lucky in Omaha with our snow removal.
I've heard this.
Well, you were down there though. What was it? Even in the downtown area?
Well, it wasn't like I was driving around on.
Yeah, you weren't on Holdridge or
You know
anything?
what? I'm on 48th and Van Dorn. Let's venture off and
go into the neighborhoods.
Let's go into 46. Let's go see my old house when I lived on 46.
No, you should have. Isn't that what you do? You got to check on your properties and stuff like that.
I did take Rachel last night by a place I used to live. I was like, I used to live there. It's actually really right there on 40th and Normal, Antelope Gardens. Our snow removal is better here in Omaha. I'm just going to say that. Listening to people from Lincoln, one guy was like, I haven't seen a plow in a week. Oof. I'm like, good thing it's going to warm up and it'll melt.
Yeah, they're just going to rely on melting. Hey, by the way, shout out to the city this morning too, because I saw multiple trucks out working, especially since it.
Well, why couldn't they get rid of the fog that I was driving back in
unfortunately,
last night?
they don't have the fog machines yet because that's going into the streetcar.
Is that the city thing?
Yeah, streetcar thing. Okay. That's where that budget went. But getting back to Zach's thought on, well, I'll start with the rink mass part. Rink mass having a 30-plus performance, yeah, sure. But you don't need them to. So I don't know if that's more of just rink mass having a big night or rink mass being able to near 40 or 32 or 34 or 36 points a night. Like that, you don't need him to do that. So, yeah, maybe that part of it is a little bit of fool's gold. I don't look at any person on that team right now and say, well, that's a 30-plus score. But this is kind of the difference between
that's make or miss.
Why I believe this team, because they got more dudes though. They got more dudes who can score.
Sport. And he was left open and he hit some shots and he played well and he continued to hit shots and Ohio State didn't adjust and they went from 3 to 18.
Yeah.
He did well against Ohio State. But he has over the course of an entire season been as advertised. Now, if he's going to give you 30 every night,
you'll take it.
I'll be cooking with some peanut oil.
Yeah, you'll take that. But as far as
I'm thinking about going to Phoenix.
I mean, the worst the worst kept secret about this team right now, and it's not even a secret. Yeah, I mean, to his point about how they have to figure out to not play like trash on the road. Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody that is feeling good about Nebraska hoops right now today, and I would put myself into that category, doesn't acknowledge the importance and the significance of being able to find a game or two on the road. Yes, for resume purposes, but more than anything for your psyche, knowing that, okay, we can finally travel with this. When we go out to the conference tournament, we can finally travel with the things that we're able to do at home. If we go to the NCAA tournament, we can travel with that. So, yeah, that's a huge part. That's like the one remaining obstacle, in my opinion, of this team is being able to do that. I don't even care who it's against, but being able to just show that you can have a quality game, even if it's kind of like the way the Rutgers game was playing out, where it was a rock fight. But if you can figure out how to finish, especially when these games where they've had leads and then they've blown them in the second half on the road. Okay, what's the reason behind that? What's happening besides, missing shots, besides all of a sudden not boxing out those obvious things? But what is the common denominator that continues to keep them from the finish line on the road? And that's something that, yes, this coaching staff still has to figure out. That's the one thing remaining.
KBH 68760. Good Twitter guy. We gotta change that Twitter handle. He tweets at me. At Gary Sharp 1620. Not all 15-5 records are created the same, guys. Why is everybody all of a sudden tinkling on Nebraska's party today? Nebraska had the best individual performance last night. They had the better win. I'm just here to tell you they're both 15-5.
Yeah.
Now, yeah, the metrics are a lot better.
People just enjoy winning.
The metrics that way on Dodge Street are much, much greater than the metrics on that way on Dodge Street headed towards Lincoln.
Yes.
I get that. I'm just saying, it's more of a feather in the cap that Nebraska has found themselves during 20 games to get to 15-5.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Nebraska's 15-5.
And when you consider where Nebraska basketball is,
68760. I like you on Twitter.
Where they are as a program compared to Creighton, nobody's going to. First of all, yeah, you're not going to argue that. They're not going to debate that, but you're also not going to apologize about it. You're winning games.
Texter Bernie writes in. I was in Sioux City yesterday, and we're very blessed by our half-assed snow removal. Some cities don't even get that half-assed effort.
Even up there? Wow. Learning everything.
I've lived in a smaller community in my time, and I notice, again, that comes down more to resources. Snow removal is a little choppy.
Mother Nature's taking care of the snow removal today. Enjoy it. All right. So yesterday,
57 next.
Yesterday
Friday,
there was a ceremony in Overland Park, Kansas. You guys ever been to Overland? Well,
I have.
Yeah, I live there.
I've been to Overland Park many times.
So the NCAA used to be there. They left.
Severe storm thing used to be there.
Used to be the place to live on that side of the border.
Oh yeah,
Now
they plow their streets.
I'm a Lenexa Olathe guy. Okay, I even subtly like Merriman, but it doesn't have much to it. But
They have IKEA?
Yesterday,
yeah, been there.
There was a huge announcement in Overland Park, Kansas. Not that the NCAA was returning. It was that the College Baseball Hall of Fame is now in Overland Park, Kansas.
That's not Omaha.
Now, I might not be the smartest guy. You guys remind me of that every day, and I'm okay with that. I'll wear that label. But as I recall, the College World Series has been in this town since 1950.
People forget.
The College Baseball Hall of Fame used to be in Lubbock, Texas.
Yep.
There was some chatter, and I know that Kyle Peterson was going to spearhead this.
Right.
Said, you know what? Makes sense. We have the College World Series. College baseball fans come to our city for 10 plus days in June. Why don't we have the College Baseball Hall of Fame?
Well, that just makes sense.
And
we could even put it in Elkhorn.
Then things got really, really quiet. And then just a mere 190 miles away. So you come in to watch the College World Series. You can't afford to stay in our hotel. So you're probably staying in Overland Park. Okay, and you're driving
3 hours
because it's cheaper, and you can get a hotel room and you can get a rental car, and it's cheaper to fly into KCI than it is
You can stay
for
in
the
Sioux
College
City.
World Series.
It's cheaper in Sioux City.
They have a new terminal there.
So it makes sense that the College Baseball Hall of Fame is now in Overland Park, Kansas.
Because Overland Park, it's the overflow crowd of the College World Series. Wow.
all
I never realized that.
So here's what they said yesterday. I watched this thing, and it stings a little bit because you know who's going in this year.
Alex Gordon.
Yeah, Alex Gordon's going to the College Baseball Hall of Fame. He didn't go to KU.
Nope.
He did not play baseball at Blue Valley Northwest.
But Gary, he was a Royal. Even though it's college, he was a Kansas City Royal.
They did an extensive search to find the new home of the College Baseball Hall of Fame.
Define extensive.
The guy that was doing the presser yesterday in the little museum there in Overland Park, Kansas, said, "We came here because you wanted us more." I don't know the background here. I tried to ask some people yesterday, and they were like, "I don't know. I got bigger things to worry about." I don't know what the backstory is here, but this makes absolutely no sense. One, that it's not in Omaha. Two, Overland Park, Kansas.
Yeah, the mecca of college baseball.
I can confirm they
Is
do
Dave,
not know
is Dave
about
Bingham going to be working the front desk? The last time that they had college baseball success in the Kansas City area?
Yeah, 93 College World Series.
Jamie Splittorff going to be there as well, signing autographs?
Hey, Dave Bingham was with Nebraska too.
Who wasn't knows that time period?
That's true. That's a good point.
If anybody knows why this happened, please let me know.
I just want to know.
It's not even on the Stars website.
I want to know about the extensive search. And okay, so what cities did you actually visit? What was their reception to that? And when you visited Omaha, because you visited Omaha, right? Because you did talk to them, right?
Before you drove to Overland Park.
What type of vibe did you get from Omaha that led you to believe, you know what? They don't want us as much. You know what? They've already got the College World Series. Let's throw somebody else a bone. Is it because Patrick Mahomes was going to give a nice, sizable donation, a nice investment into this because he played baseball as well? Come on. Like this. I have so many more questions, and that would be probably more narrowed to the scope of you did talk to Omaha, and then.
Did they?
I would think so. I would hope so.
Extensive search. They probably looked at Overland Park, probably Kalamazoo, Michigan.
They might have went into North Platte, Nebraska.
Probably thought New York City's a good place for the College Baseball Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Oh, what about Los Angeles? That's a Big Ten.
Nah,
country.
they're probably more Fresno. They had a national championship team one year.
How about Sedona, Arizona for the College Baseball Hall of Fame?
Been there.
What in the heck?
Nothing screams college baseball and the rich history of it than Overland Park, Kansas.
Man, So we have built museums on this radio station. I've got the Nebraska Football Museum already built. The only museum that exists is the high school sports museum in Lincoln, next to the Bowling Stadium in Haymarket Park. We got that done. We can't get a Nebraska Football Museum. We can't get like an Omaha Sports Museum. We certainly, because it really, at the end of the day, doesn't make sense why Omaha would be the College Baseball Hall of Fame site. But if you want to go see it, you can go to Overland Park, Kansas.
I can give you some recommendations on where to go to eat.
So on that off day that you might have at the College World Series, it's not that hard to get there. Just drive down Interstate 29. Make sure that you don't stay on 29. When you get to 635, you got to veer off there towards Overland Park. You'll be fine.
Actually, get off 430.
Down in 3 hours. You spend about an hour in the museum, 2 hours, and then you're back. I mean, it's a pretty good day if you're coming to Omaha for the College World Series.
In time for dinner.
So this was essentially bidding on the College Baseball Hall of Fame, the way that I have interpreted this, because of Patrick Mahomes' involvement in this, of what was called the financial support and the commitment that mirrors the love for the game fostered by watching his father, but also former MLB player, Pat Mahomes.
Wait, he's the reason why this happened?
Well, his financial investment was a big part of this. So essentially, did we just get outbidded on this? I mean, that's why, and that also kind of leads to a bigger question. If you want some type of Hall of Fame, just be able to have some money to back it up, and you get it. It could have zero relevance to the location.
So what you're trying to say is we've got Nebraska on Creighton basketball crime this morning, just unfolding on the show, is that the reason that the College Baseball Hall of Fame is not in Omaha. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I think this is where you're going, is because of Doug McDermott.
Yeah.
Okay.
People need to be accountable for this.
Craig says, we came here because you wanted us more, and the shoebox full of 20s didn't hurt either.
Right.
And signed 15
I wish
jerseys.
them all the best. I hope the doors stay open more than a year.
Yeah.
Bellevue West Joey writes in. So there's folks trying to find something to hate with a team in a 15-5 record. Are those Creighton fans? We all know those road woes, but 15-5 is 15-5. Mast isn't always going to go off like that, but he stepped up when they needed him. That's what makes Nebraska dangerous, is that a different guy can step up every night. To me, and I know this sounds weird, but CJ Wilcher's night was just as huge.
Yes.
Agree. Back-to-back threes, him and Mast hit. CJ's like Fred Hoiberg. If you go, well, Fred, you don't develop anybody. He should go and grab CJ Wilcher out of class and like bring him with him, because that's the guy that he has developed, and a guy that was on the scrap heap, off the scrap heap, is fine with his role.
Yeah.
He's not a disruptor. Yeah. I agree with Joey here on CJ Wilcher, and he was huge last night. That actually might have been one of Wilcher's best games as a Husker. 16 points off the bench, providing that spark, has been key to the season all year. Dan writes in, the disdain from Blue Jay fans over the success of the Huskers is why we can't understand Jayskers. GBR. I just want this now to happen. You guys don't realize what it was like the Friday morning that Creighton and Nebraska both were in the NCAA tournament.
I definitely
on this show.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it was epic.
Yeah. I just remember that day in general, and gorgeous weather that day, if I remember correctly, too. Then you had red team, then blue team playing back to back. It was phenomenal.
Larry writes in. Larry's on the Creighton side. He goes, I agree with your tweeter. Not all 15-5 records are created the same.
That's fine. But here's my question. Why do we need to be reminded of that?
Just because now we got tweets about the score from December.
Sure. But why do we at one point, maybe I didn't hear you correctly. You didn't say
they're playing football.
You didn't say Nebraska's 15-5 was better than Creighton's, or you didn't say Nebraska and Creighton are essentially the same team because the record is 15-5. I don't remember you saying that.
It's actually a feather in the cap of Nebraska that they're 15-5. Well, it just happens that Creighton has the same record. I get it. They're different. I've said that the metrics are.
Yeah.
There's a huge. It's like the Grand Canyon between the two. But the fact that Nebraska after 20 games is 15-5, you cannot overlook that fact. You cannot poo-poo that Hoiberg, whose ass was on the line, is 21-7 in his last 28. There are wins in there that are against you, me, and Dupree.
Yep.
And they haven't won road games. But you know what? They're 15-5. It's January 24th, and they are in, I would say, 98% of the brackets that are out there. That is at least a start for a program that in the previous 4 years has tripped over its own feet and hasn't been to the tournament since 14. That is more a Nebraska thing that, whoa, we're 15-5.
And here's the beautiful thing about that is,
thank you for stopping at my TED Talk.
At both of these programs at 15-5, where they go from here and whatever their NCAA tournament results would be, are going to be looked at completely different. And this is the beauty about Nebraska's 15-5 mark right now, is it puts them squarely in the tournament discussion. Yeah, there's still work to be done, but it puts it there. Let's say Nebraska continues to be what we've seen all year, but yet they still manage to make it into the NCAA tournament. And they lose in the first round. Was that the goal this year, was to get to the NCAA tournament and win a game in the NCAA tournament? No, it was to get to postseason. It was to get to the NCAA tournament. So I can already see it now. Nebraska loses in the NCAA tournament. Maybe they had more struggles on the road, and people are going to be like, yeah, but that not to put Zach on blast, but to use, something he said, yeah, but that team was totally fool's gold. They were totally soft. They couldn't win games that mattered. Well, they win enough games that mattered to put them in the NCAA tournament. That's the difference between the Nebraska fan base and expectation right now with their basketball program and Creighton, is they just want to see their team playing postseason basketball, where Creighton fans need to see their team having success in the postseason.
Let's go Omaha.
You're going to love
they have
this.
all three. I know who this is. They have all three teams in the NCAA tournament.
Well, that would be ideal.
I mean, we could have. I don't think Nebraska is going to get sent here if they make the tournament. But just think about what March is going to be like, boys.
You take the show to Spokane.
You
Memphis.
Ooh, I know some places.
Here's what would happen. Boy, Nebraska and Creighton would be sent to the same site out of town.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, I remember San Antonio. Wasn't so good. People didn't like the arena down there, Jimmy.
It's not in the most desirable location.
Didn't like the arena down
there. Would have
there.
made sense to put it downtown.
Yeah.
But if you want a nice prostitute, you can just go either direction from that arena. Some of San Antonio's finest women of the night patrol the streets.
Lady of the night? Mm-hmm. Well, it's good to know, I guess.
Yeah.
If that's your
that's
your cup of tea.
That's usually when I go to a sporting event, that's not one of the things I think about.
What's the hooker situation?
Like
What's your guys' Ubers?
Funny you ask. I got some brochures.
By the way, somebody update me on the hooker situation?
When I walked out of the arena last night and walked by Longwell's, I was like, "Ooh, I've taken a picture there." I'm just going to put this out there, and then we're going to get to Trevor here because I got a feeling it's going to be an interesting call.
Yeah.
Okay, so both teams are 15-5. Embrace it, love it. We're talking hoops.
Yeah.
Creighton is 3-3 in quad one. Do you know what Nebraska in quad one is?
4-3.
3-3.
Oh, they're 3. Okay.
Here is Trevor on the 42 Degree The Source hotline. Good morning, Trevor.
Hey, good morning. Good morning, gentlemen. So I remember back in the day, that 14-15 season when both teams made the tournament, I called the morning show. I don't know if it was you guys in the morning then or not. Shoot, that was 10 years ago.
Hey, Trevor,
all
thank
the
you. It was me.
were calling in, and they're like, oh, Jaysker this, Jaysker that. And I called in, and I said, I can't stand Jayskers. In fact, I'm a Jader. And you guys said, well, what's a Jader? I said, I'm a Jay hater. I hate the Jays. A Jader. And so that was the first thing I said. And then for the games, I went to Papillion La Vista Aquino, also known as Swizzle Sticks at the time. And everybody had, all the Jays fans had their blue on, and then the Nebraska, and I had my red on, of course, because I hate the Jays. And then a bunch of Jays fans took their blue off when Nebraska played first, so I had my red on. Then you had a bunch of Blue Jays that had red on over their blue, and then when the Blue Jays started, they took their red off to show their blue. I took my red off to show yet another red Husker shirt during the Creighton game. It just made Creighton fans livid around me. It was freaking hilarious. Yes,
So
I am
wait.
a self-proclaimed Jader. I am a Jader.
Trevor, were you the guy? And I'm trying to remember who Creighton played in that game. Were you the guy that whoever they played, every time they'd score a bucket, you would be the guy to stand up? Yep. Woo. All right.
Yeah.
Take it to him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep, I was.
Attaboy.
Creighton fans were not happy with Trevor that day. So.
Trevor, thanks for the call.
Heck yeah. You guys have a great day.
Thanks, man. Oh, that guy. He always exists in every game. Not necessarily the Jader, but the one guy when you're just like so into your team winning, and all of a sudden, like as they're struggling, there's just that one presence. You're like, God, would you shut up? You're like, yeah, All right, let's go. It's a fun rule.
Jader, I learned something new.
A Jader. Yeah, I don't hear as much about the Jaders. See, but were people really doing that? So we were in a bar out west, and I didn't remember anybody ripping off their red shirt and then putting on their blue shirt. I don't remember anybody doing that.
Not that I don't.
That's just that's taking it to a different
Creighton
level.
in the net is 12 as of right now. Nebraska has moved up to 47 in the net. They got to stay under 50 in my opinion. Here is
45 and Ken Paul.
Thanks, Jimmy. Here is Jesse who'd like to talk about basketball and hookers.
Yes. Good morning, guys. This is my favorite radio show for that reason. Great sports takes and terrific hooker advice. I really appreciate that.
Should be the name of the show.
As a man who travels a lot for business, I
segment.
That trip to Singapore was pretty good, wasn't it?
No, I just, I don't want to talk about what's happening on the court. And I don't know if you guys have gone into it much. I want to talk about what happened last night, crowd-wise, at Creighton.
Okay.
And it's a recurring theme, as you guys may know. So 4 minutes left, single-digit game. Creighton's undefeated against traffic. Creighton fans. I don't understand why it keeps happening.
Yeah.
If you're worried about you got to get your kid home for school, don't bring your kid.
Yep.
If you're worried that you have to get up early for work, get rid of your tickets and give them to somebody who's going to stay in a single-digit game, one that they could have lost within the last 2 minutes, and you're filing to the exit. Additionally, Josh Jones, I love him, but Josh and the DJ down there, you got to read the room, guys. Like the place is bumping, you're bouncing, and I'm not the only one to say this. I love the Killers.
Yeah.
But you don't put Mr.
Brightside.
You don't go to Mr. Brightside when the place is bumping. Like, what are we doing? And Marcus Blossom, I hope he's listening. I understand why they stopped playing Kanye, but what I don't like is why when some of the other artists who play some of the stadium themes dig into their background a little bit. And oh, by the way, dig into Michael Jackson's background a little bit. Really no reason we can't hear Kanye in the intros or throughout the game. Anything really to lift the crowd up, but not Mr. Brightside. And that's all I got. And hookers.
Yeah. Jesse, thank you.
Well, he never answered anything about the hookers. I also noticed this.
Hey, this is
not
Creighton's going to be fine. Nebraska, do not let us down. This just could be a build up to March. Nebraska, do not let us down. Creighton will take care of themselves. They're fine. I do agree what Jesse just said there about the music.
Oh, yeah. I actually thought that watching the game last night.
There was also a part of the game, and Jimmy, you probably recall this then. So on the broadcast, and I think it was like Olivari and Swain were on the bench, and they came out of a timeout to everybody clap your hands. And then they kept repeating it, everybody. And both Swain and I think it was Olivari, they're like clapping the hands, kind of like looking at each other, like laughing. And I'm thinking to myself, you don't do that at basketball games, do you? Like in a crowd like that, in a game like that, to come.
Park?
Yeah, exactly. Like I cannot recall ever hearing that. Even back when I would do PA for Creighton a long time ago, when I'd fill in for Jake every now and then when I was doing women's games, I don't ever remember that. Like coming out of a timeout with you shouldn't have to do that.
I know from buddies that were at the Creighton game last night. At the beginning, it was really, really sleepy, which they were surprised because, hadn't been home in a bit, coming off the win against Seton Hall. Big game. You got Sean Miller. That should get you fired up. It was much better at the end of the game. The one thing I don't like, and I haven't been to as many Creighton games as I've been to Nebraska games. There's no need to ask the crowd to make noise.
Thank you.
I thought that too.
There is absolutely no reason for, at a major college basketball game with one of the top programs in college basketball, that your PA guys should be forced to say, implore the crowd to get loud.
Yeah.
That should never, ever happen. The place that should happen is at 87th and Pacific.
Yeah.
At a high school game or something like that.
Right.
But you shouldn't have to come to that at a Creighton game.
That's what it made me think of when I heard
That's
the everybody
happened a few
clap your
times.
hands. I thought that you shouldn't need to do in a big time. It was
See, and here
It was bizarre.
And here I am in Lincoln last night going, man, that student section isn't as good as it used to be. And then they got to make the music louder at PBA. I said in the 200 level, I got to make that music louder.
Did you? Was there a Mr. Brightside? Was there a Mr. Brightside?
No.
Okay.
They're on point with music choices.
Good
in Lincoln.
Nice.
And they got D Wayne.
Yeah.
It was D Wayne against Josh. Isn't it great to fall?
I don't know who I'd take in that battle.
Hey, isn't it great that spring football doesn't begin until late this year? We got all this basketball talk between now and March Madness.
And it's relevant. Thank you, Nebraska. We knew Creighton would be there, but thank you, Nebraska and Omaha.
In-game
You can do it too.
No, we need to win at Oral Roberts tomorrow night, and then we got to win at Denver on Saturday. And then we'll be
Avenge
back, baby.
that. Yeah, have a good week.
Hey, it would be one of the most insane weeks of sports talk radio in Omaha to have all three teams in the NCAA tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Mine would go. I
would love that.
I'd love it too.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen at some point.
One team at 60th and Dodge. We got some work to do, boys.
Yeah.
All right. We got to take a quick break. Matt DeMarinis is going to join us next on the heels of the win over Xavier last night. And a new Stephen Ashworth definitely on one end of the floor. We will talk about where they go from here and the rest of the Big East. Don't know if you guys saw this last night. Man, Ed Cooley we had a rough night last night. Butler rolled Georgetown, and during one of the timeouts, Ed Cooley's sitting on the bench, and his team is out in the huddle.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You guys figure it out.
All right. Matt's coming up after the top of the hour. Brandon Vogel a little bit later. We'll get his thoughts on what he thinks the kid and the goat were talking about last night.
Hopefully he's getting pearls.
Somebody goes, that's a $600 jacket he's got on. He's wearing Yeezys.
Yeah.
He was. I'm like,
yeah.
People are going to get on him. He's been canceled.
Oh, okay, because he's wearing the
If Creighton canceled him, Dylan should cancel him, right?
That's true. He should.
J-Skers
Come on. You're now in the spotlight, buddy.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone. All right, if you have been watching the NFL playoffs from the sidelines, there is still time to get in the game with FanDuel. It is America's #1 sports book. New customers this weekend. The conference championship game. The Final Four is set. Great storylines, great matchups. And with FanDuel, you get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. FanDuel has so many ways for you to pick up a dub today.
That's right. Same game parlays. You can just go straight up with the points. And if you're looking at right now, the conference championship games, I'm loving the Chiefs getting the 3 points, 3.5 points that we've seen kind of move around here the last couple of days. But if you want to take a look at that and so much more, just get started with $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com/zone to join today. That's FanDuel.com. Use the promo code ZONE. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. 21 plus and present in Iowa. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley returns in minutes on 1620 The Zone. The best way to catch all the action is on 1620 The Zone. And no line for the bathroom.
Hi, this is Doug Nodgard with Equitable Bank. Great service never goes out of style. When the digital age dawned, many said computers would be able to handle many of the interactions that used to take a person. Boy, were they wrong. How many times have you called your bank and gotten a recording to press 1 or 2? Not at Equitable. Not only does Equitable answer your call in the first ring, it's answered by a human being. That's because Equitable Bank values its customers. Equitable Bank, we take banking personally. Member FDIC.
Rock from the darker side. Disturbed live. Did not be among it down with the sickness. Take back your life tour. January 29th. CHI Health Center Arena. New album Divisive. Available now. With special guest Falling in Reverse. And Plush. Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. Don't miss Disturbed live.
Betting on your favorite sporting events just got a whole lot easier. Warhorse Sportsbook is now open in Omaha. Save yourself the drive across the river and put your money where your mouth is at Horseman's Park, 6303 Q Street. Use the Warhorse app to check odds and build your bets before placing your wagers in person, including live in-game betting. No bets, no glory. Wagers may only be placed on Nebraska-based teams when played outside the state of Nebraska. Must be 21 or older to gamble. Gambling problem? Call 1-833-BET-OVER.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
If you're having problems in the bedroom, talking about it is the last thing you want to do. Same goes for hair loss, anxiety, or even depression. That's where HIMS comes in. Through HIMS, you don't have to talk about it. You can do something about it. Just go to hims.com/start, where you can find a variety of potential solutions for the problems men face every day and save up to 95% on generic alternatives. The entire process is 100% online, making it incredibly simple, straightforward, and above all, private. If prescribed, treatments made using clinically proven ingredients are shipped directly to your door in low-key packaging. So if you're experiencing ED, hair loss, anxiety, or problems with your general health, you don't have to go to the doctor, the pharmacy, or spend all day talking about it. Just go to hims.com/start and do something about it. Get started today at hims.com/start. That's HIMS.com/START.
If you're looking for a safe and reliable vehicle to get you through all types of winter weather and more, Baxter Subaru has you covered. Symmetrical all-wheel drive comes standard on nearly all Subaru models and provides you better traction, improved stability, and maximized performance on wet and snowy roads. Subaru's all-wheel drive also enhances off-road capabilities. Get incredible deals and great lease offers today on all our new Subaru models. Or shop anytime at BaxterSubaruOmaha.com.
Sean Callahan breaks down Nebraska's recruiting class after early signing period Thursday at Holy Ghost Church on 52nd and Q. Doors open at 5, program starts at 7, and it's only $10 for adults, $5 for children. Sponsored by Mama's Pizza and Beer City.
Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
All right, Matty D's coming up here in a little bit. Matt DeMarinis, not Matty D.
Matty Davison?
Yeah, no. Matt DeMarinis.
Toxin Collective.
White Blue Review coming up next. Okay, so I'm looking outside, and you've heard Peter Krenzer is on traffic today.
Wear your seatbelts.
Yes, wear your seatbelts at all times. It is foggy outside. Some of the sidewalks are slippery. I did this. I'm probably going to get slapped across the wrist. Just going into the break, look at what the weather forecast is for Groundhog Day.
Oh, I saw it.
I did too.
Whatever golf course would like to call and tell me you're going to be taking tee times. Yes.
If you have simulators, maybe.
Yeah. Dog 923 and Corey say shout out to the Roller Skating Museum in Lincoln.
Oh, that's true.
Nice place. I've been there a couple of times.
Now,
they used to have, when Pershing existed, they used to have the huge roller skating event.
Yeah, then
like
didn't they do like the rollerblades?
No.
Or the what were those called? The not rollerblades. What was the
roller derby?
Roller derby, thank you. So that museum is actually roller derby too, right?
I think there's a little bit in there.
Yeah. That is one thing that I've never seen live.
I want to hear from the Hollywood Bombers.
I want to see roller derby live.
Corey writes in, a couple of years ago, both Creighton and Nebraska played in the volleyball tournament. Creighton played first. Was also at the Keno establishment. As soon as Creighton was over, they were again Husker fans.
Not Swizzle Sticks?
T. Robinson would like to know, has Creighton ever beaten a number one? Nope.
Oh, right.
I am here for all of this today.
Just subtly.
But I'm very much a fair and balanced guy.
Should be.
So we are getting it from both sides here. Now I got to scroll. 15-5. Look it up. That is from Tim Roll Jays.
Okay. That's fine. The records are what they are.
Well, and
at least they're both
and let's be
participating.
honest. Let's be honest about Creighton. Creighton could be waking up today 13-7. You said Nebraska would be 17-3.
Mm-hmm.
Creighton found a way to win the last two games.
Yeah. Hey, something to be said about that, though.
Yeah. All right. When we come back, Matt DeMarinis will join us. Thoughts on last night? The first half, which was Trey. The second half was with Shireman, and Colt kind of throughout the entire game.
He was there.
Yeah. Plus the development of Stephen Ashworth. Man, that road trip might have been the best thing that happened to Ashworth.
Mm-hmm.
He's come back a different man. We'll get into that coming up next. Brandon Vogel a little bit later. Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Zoom Drain Time-Saving Traffic Center, the earlier crash I-80 eastbound at 72nd has traffic backed up to the I-680 split. 69 is just north of Underwood. Do avoid this area. It is almost impassable at this time due to an earlier crash. And some very heavy stop-and-go traffic dodge eastbound between 180th and 144th, as well as JFK northbound between Chandler and I-80. Please stay safe out there, everybody, and wear those seatbelts. I'm Peter Krenzer.
Time-saving traffic is brought to you by Omaha Transmission.
You've probably heard about Omaha Transmission saving people money. Call Omaha Transmission and see why people have been recommending them for almost 20 years.
J-Tech Construction, the official exterior experts of the Huskers, offers exterior solutions that help you protect your number one investment. Whether it's roofing and siding or windows and doors, they're committed to excellence, quality, and outstanding customer service in every step of the process. When it's time to protect the exterior of your home, your choice is simple. Turn to who the Huskers turn to, J-Tech Construction. Check them out online and schedule a free estimate today. J-Tech Construction, the official exterior experts of the Huskers.
Nate Bargatze, the Be Funny Tour.
I mean, Chuck E. Cheese is rough. I don't know if you've been there in a while. They look like they're trying to go to business and they can't.
All new material.
They filed for bankruptcy and they're still open. They called Blockbuster and they're like, how do you get out? We want out.
Nate Bargatze.
Saturday, June 29th, CHI Health Center. Tickets available at Ticketmaster.com. Produced by Outback Presents.
Don't miss Nate Bargatze, the Be Funny Tour.
Cards issued by Sutton Bank and Celtic Bank, members FDIC. Terms and conditions apply.
Are you the decision maker in your company? Do you want more control over your business spending? Meet Ramp, the only corporate card and spend management platform designed to save you time and money. Ramp offers unlimited corporate cards with spend controls you can customize to stop wasteful spending before it happens. Ramp makes expense reports a breeze by automatically collecting receipts and matching them to the right transaction. You'll close your books in hours instead of days. Ramp allows you to see all of your company spend in one place, so you can make quick, informed decisions about your business finances. Plus, Ramp will share insights based on your spending to help you cut costs. Over 15,000 businesses have added up to 5% to their bottom line with Ramp. You can be one of them. If you're a decision maker, adding Ramp could be one of the best decisions you've ever made. And now get $250 when you join Ramp. Just go to ramp.com/sports. Ramp.com/sports. ramp.com/sports.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, U.S. Tax Shield can help you take back control. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Our team of tax attorneys can stop collections and get you protected. U.S. Tax Shield offers a price protection guaranteed quote to get you protected today. U.S. Tax Shield is A+ rated with the BBB, so call 800-466-9625. U.S. Tax Shield. 800-466-9625.
Tickets for less. Best seats, best prices, no service fees. Shop ticketsforless.com. KOZN Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620 The Zone. And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
All right, coming up, I've gotten our answer to why the College Baseball Hall of Fame is not in Omaha. Explain that coming up after we get done with our good friend, Matt DeMarinis from White Blue Review, who joins us now on the morning after. Very interesting game last night downtown. First half, second half, a little Trey, a little Baylor, a little Kelk, a little Ashworth, and most importantly, a win and an angry Sean Miller. Good morning, my friend.
Morning, guys. How are we doing?
Good. So I'm going to look at it this way. And maybe I'm off. Probably the morning after that win last night by Creighton, with everything that's gone on post UConn, will not get as much run as it probably should. Am I off on that? I think that's a pretty important win, and in the manner they did last night.
Yeah, no, it's going to get – I mean, You're probably right. I think it's going to get a little bit forgotten because Saturday's pinked out, and then they have Butler, and then they're going to go on the road to Providence and Xavier. Like, the schedule is going to get progressively tougher as they go along. Like, every game is going to have a lot of impact to it, especially if as long as they stay in the Big East title race and within striking distance of UConn, each game is going to get increasingly more significant. So yeah, to that effect, you're probably right. I think, it's big in terms of if you just take this snapshot in time and look at what Creighton's coming off of in terms of the 3 overtime game in Newark, putting that road trip, but then having a short prep for Xavier and all the minutes they logged. There was a lot of questions about, how much would be left in the tank.
Mm-hmm.
Would the crowd spark them when they needed it? Would they be able to run with Xavier? Considering the way the Musketeers are playing offensively of late and the 3 guards they've got going. So yeah, Creighton answered a lot of questions last night, and I don't know if big picture it'll be a win that, is significant in terms of this whole season and how it shakes out. But right now in this snapshot in time, it's a pretty big one.
Does Baylor Shireman sleep in the hyperbaric chamber? Look, we know, and we know that there was the body transformation a little bit from last year to this year, but my God, the miles that he continues to put on, and I'm curious, Matt, did you sense fatigue in the first half? But then obviously the way he closes out, that wasn't there. I mean, just what he's doing from a minute standpoint, and doesn't really show any of the effects. Like, I get it. The points he puts up is phenomenal, but the minutes he's logging, this is a fascinating story right now.
I mean, God, that's some fatigue and warm-ups. Like, Ryan Kalkbrenner walked out on the floor with his hands in his pocket like a 55-year-old man. Like, like he was just going for a stroll. It's like there's a game going. And then I think it was like 55 minutes before tip. Like, it was, I think they looked like they just woke up, like they were still recuperating from the other day. So yeah, I thought fatigue was going to be a big factor, especially with the way Xavier plays. Like, they're number 2 in the Big East in transition offense behind only UConn, and we know how spurtable UConn is. And they just push off misses, they push off makes, they push off mistakes. Like, they just come at you. Like, if you watched that Georgetown game the other night, it was like, it was like an open gym. So yeah, that was I definitely didn't think Creighton had a favorable matchup tonight coming off of what they came off of against Seton Hall. But, they got their legs at some point, I think, late first half after Xavier landed the punch. They kind of settled back into the game. Took the lead late, right before halftime, before Xavier got it back with another bucket by Desmond Claude, who had a crazy first half. And then I think, once Creighton was down 7, and I think that sequence where Baylor Shireman hit the 3, hit the first free throw, and then made the second of his 2 second chance 3-pointers from the left wing. That seemed to like jolt the crowd awake for the duration of the game. So the last 10 minutes, it kind of rode the adrenaline from, the atmosphere to the win. So they were able to gut it out in that respect.
Hey, we like to sit here and go, Baylor's second half was great. Trey kept them alive in the first half, being NBA Trey, the way he was cooking. But shouldn't we also maybe put this into the column? That was a MAC win last night, whether it be pushing the right emotional button or just the way he coached him through the second half from about the 8-minute mark on into the end.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like what, when you look at the boxes that Creighton checked last night from a matchup standpoint, you can see that, they did their homework even on a short prep, and they had a scheme going in, and they executed it to a pretty high level. And, when you take all that down, that starts with coaching, to get your players prepared for that level and to do the things they did to Xavier. It takes preparation, mental preparation, physical preparation. And when you, I mean, Mac's not lying when he said they only had an hour on the court the last 2 days to kind of get ready for it. So a lot of it was mental. A lot of it was just, understanding what they need to do from a game plan standpoint, how to execute that. So, I mean, a lot of that goes to the coaching staff and and the way they're able to kind of dissect an opponent and figure out weaknesses to exploit, strengths to avoid. Because, I mean, when you look across the board, and Jacob and I were talking about this last night, like, Creighton won every single matchup. You know, Kalkbrenner dominated Usman. Baylor Shireman and Desmond Claude, at worst, it's a wash because Claude had the big first half and Baylor had the big second half.
Yeah.
You know, Trey Alexander outplayed Davion McKnight, and then Stephen Ashworth put Quincy Oliveri in a hurt locker, which is probably the most surprising, I guess, aspect of the game, the way Oliveri was playing coming in. So, yeah, I mean, Creighton won every matchup across the board, and a lot of that has to do, you know, with the game plan things they identified going in and the way they executed them.
Kind of a similar situation, and almost a similar question as far as what Gary said about a MAC win. I want to talk about a MAC development on this team too, with Stephen Ashworth defensively. Look, we saw that road trip, and there was very little on a positive side to take away from the UConn game, but you did see Stephen Ashworth be a factor in that one, and ever since, especially defensively, we've seen a lot of strides. I'm curious what you're sensing from just a preparation standpoint on how they've gotten Stephen Ashworth to that level defensively.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it, you know, Creighton's been able to, you know, survive and even thrive at times with defenders who don't impose you physically. So, you know, I think, honestly, I kind of give a lot of credit to this to Mitch Ballack, because back in October, when, you know, we were kind of talking off to the side just about his impressions of Steven. You know, obviously the shooting was a big component of the conversation, but, you know, he thought there was something there defensively in terms of his competitiveness that he thought was going to surprise people when it was all said and done. You know, even though you just couldn't see it from a physical standpoint and couldn't kind of picture it in your mind, I don't know. He kind of felt there was something there in terms of his competitiveness and the way he fights. You know, whatever that it factor is in terms of how bad you want to win, you know, it kind of comes out in moments like that when you have to be good at something that doesn't necessarily fall into into one of your strength categories. You know, so Stephen Ashworth's not like a lockdown defender or a pickpocket, but he's competitive. You know, and if you're in the right position and you just, you know, fight hard on the end of the floor and you know, check the boxes in terms of the game plan of what you're doing on your matchup and what you're doing on the floor, and you're communicating, like you can turn into a pretty impactful defender, you know, from a team defensive scheme if you're doing all those things. And I think that's something that he identified early, so I got to give him credit for that. And I think we've seen it now the last couple of games when he's guarded some dangerous scorers, some dangerous perimeter scorers, and made them, you know, even though he like hasn't fully like shut them down like Kyrie Thomas or Tyshawn Alexander did in the past, he's made them uncomfortable and frustrated them. I mean, Quincy Oliveri got a frustration technical foul in the first half last night. Like, I don't think he thought in his mind coming into this game that, you know, 6 foot, 180-pound Stephen Ashworth was gonna put him on tilt mentally like that. And then all of a sudden, like the first bucket he gets, or the second bucket he gets in the game, you know, late in the first half, he just shoves Ashworth and draws a tech. You know, it's like that's the kind of thing that you can do if you're Stephen Ashworth defensively. You can have that type of impact. So, yeah, it was big, and I think it's something that's in him. I don't think it's an anomaly because it's been identified. You know, it's just all a matter if it can come out or not.
How much do you think of his development? And you can bring, you know, there's no Nembhard. We know that. I mean, John Rothstein yesterday just had himself a Ryan Nembhard day because Nembhard's playing pretty well. He's got 25 assists, 0 turnovers last 3 games. Okay, so that's always going to be hanging around. But I think you and Jacob have talked about this because Shireman, Alexander, and Kalkbrenner's role have changed with a different type of guard in Ashworth who isn't going to give you the high efficiency at the rim rate. So there's that part. If you could address offensively how you think it's taken him a while to adjust. But I want to stick with defense first and foremost. How much of it do you think Ashworth now understands he's playing on a team where he has a guy like Kalkbrenner? If he makes a subtle mistake on defense, Kalkbrenner is there at the rim to bail him out or at least give him some help.
Oh, I think it's a big part of it. I think it goes across the whole team. So, I mean, their defense is like schemed to. I mean, when you think of basketball, you think keep your man in front of you. Stay in front of the ball. Like, don't get beat. This way or that way. Like, Creighton kind of wants to get beat. Like, they want to run you off the 3-point line. They want to funnel you into areas of the floor where Kalkbrenner's waiting. Like, it's really, I think it's why teams always fall into the trap, because it's kind of irresistible to avoid having an angle on your man when you're dribbling. And like, if you think you can beat him, and you think you start a chain reaction that you're able to make plays off of that. But with the way Creighton's defense sets up, like, once you get into that area of the floor, they don't let you make plays out of it. So you have no choice but to shoot over Kalkbrenner. And if you're the on-ball defender, your responsibilities are just kind of stay attached. Like, you don't have to stay in front, just stay attached. Like, get a rear view contest, stay on the hip, keep your hands back, don't reach in, don't foul, just make them take tough shots. And that's what Creighton's defense is kind of built to do. So it takes some pressure off of you as an on-ball defender, because you don't have to, lock up a guy. You just have to you just have to make sure you're sending them to the right part of the floor. And I think, with Ashworth, to your point of him trying to find where he fits the best, I think there's multiple components to that, because I think you're seeing it offensively. I mean, last night, how many times did the ball touch his hands and then go immediately into Kalkbrenner and then him cut off of that?
Thank God.
I mean, I lost count.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's who he is. He doesn't have to be a ball dominant playmaking point guard. He just has to make the right read, the right play, cut off the ball, space the floor, be ready when the ball hits his hands if he's open for a shot, come off pick and rolls and either get into the midi or, pull up from three, get to the rim to kind of to drag a defense with him, and then, make plays out of that. Like, there's a lot of components to it offensively for Steven that don't necessarily result in a statistic, but it impacts the offense in a big way. And I think he's really getting comfortable in terms of, how to play that role to the best of his abilities.
Matt, if there was a fatigue concern that I had going yesterday, I said I was curious if the turnover bug would come back to Creighton. If there was some sloppy play or what have you. I know at one point I almost felt like they had more than what they really did have, and give Xavier credit, they were actually taking advantage of that. But we have seen that number come down. And whether we're talking about Stephen Ashworth or Trey and just the overall ball handling and value in the basketball, what have you kind of noticed as of late that's kept that number down?
Well, I mean, a couple things in the last couple of games. I think their spacing's been sharper, and when you're not driving into clutter, it's kind of easier to take care of the ball, because they do have, talented ball handlers. When you look at Sharman, Alexander, and Ashworth, they're all kind of like, they all have some, I mean, obviously Ashworth and Trey do, but like, even with Baylor, there's a lot of point guard instincts there. A good ball handler, a good creator off the bounce, both for himself and his teammates. And honestly, like, the turnovers were a problem in the first half. Like, they had 4 live ball turnovers that Xavier didn't like. Sometimes points off turnovers is a it's a misleading statistic.
Would agree.
A team will take the ball from you or like cause a turnover that they don't run down your throat and score right away. They kind of just execute against your court-to-court defense. But like, Xavier actually punished Creighton for live ball turnovers immediately. I mean, they're up 1 at halftime and they're up 9-3 in points off turnovers, and all 9 of those points came off live ball, quick turnaround, back to buckets possessions. So they were backbreaking in the first half. So for Creighton only have 3, and I think the one live ball turnover that Xavier scored on in the second half was after Trey blocked I think Oliveri or McKnight at the rim, and Baylor saved the ball inbound.
Yeah, and then it got flipped
and
out
it got
to
back
them.
to like, it was kind of like a broken play. It wasn't really. It was just Baylor made an extra effort, and the ball just bounced the wrong way. So it wasn't like a mistake by Creighton necessarily. So they really cleaned that up in the second half, which was curious, because like, I think the legs affected them more in the first half than they did the second. I really think once the adrenaline kicked in, and once Kalkbrenner called it his second win last night. Once they got their second wind, they really were pretty clean last night.
Hey, we'll get chatter on this, and I know that we talk about officiating a lot, but would yay or nay, the Big East has an officiating problem? Not just Creighton games, but throughout the entire league.
I don't know. My opinions on this is always skewed because every time someone thinks they've seen the worst thing they've ever seen in men's basketball, I watch a women's basketball game the next day, and I see, you know what I mean? So I don't know.
You and I are together on women's basketball. They've got to, if the sport is blowing up like it is, they've got to fix the men and women that work the women's game. You and I are together on that, no doubt.
Yeah, so that to me is, I have a tough time kind of like putting men's basketball in a bubble because I've seen worse, you know, especially in the same sport I've seen worse. So I don't know if the Big East has an officiating problem, and especially not one that's like unique to any other conference, I would say, you know. I certainly think like the game in Newark was, I mean, that one, they just lost total control of that and just never got it back, you know, which I think happens in games sometimes. So, you know, you kind of just dismiss it. But honestly, like, I've seen a lot of backlash because the Big East is such a physical league. So a lot of these teams kind of rack up foul counts. And Creighton sitting over here, that's like their whole, like, everything about who they are defensively is counterintuitive to what the Big East does. Like, they don't go after you. They don't rake at you. They don't try to, like, they play with their hands back. They play positioning defense. Like, they try to funnel you into certain areas. They don't try to create turnovers. That's kind of counter to a lot of the way the Big East plays. You know, if you're not, I mean, DePaul and Georgetown play no defense, so it's not like they're fouling or stopping you from scoring. But I think it's like people wonder why Creighton's defense is so good without fouling, and I think they just don't understand the way Creighton plays. So they see these foul disparities in all these Creighton games, and they think, you know, there's an officiating problem when really it's just a discipline problem. Honestly, like, Creighton is just the most disciplined defense in the Big East, so it causes that shock value for certain teams. I don't know if there's a big problem though.
Well, it might be. This might be a bigger discussion. It might just be a college basketball thing. I mean, there's a lot of you know, there's a lot of new officials that are working high-level college basketball these days.
Yeah, and honestly, though, when you look at officiating schedules too, they work a lot of games in a week. So I think by the time you get to like Saturday or Sunday, and all these marquee games are happening on national television, you're seeing, you know, some poor officiating maybe decide some of these games. You know, you got to think about the fact that this is like the sixth game or, you know, fourth game in 6 days for these officials in different cities. So it's like, that's a problem too. Like, their pool of officials in the sport needs to get bigger.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think that's why the NCAA put out officiating. I don't know what you would call it. It was just kind of like a tip of the cap to officials and kind of encouraging others to kind of get involved in officiating, because I think they know that their crews are overworked a little bit, and they need to like expand their pool of you know, of officials to counter that. So I mean, I think that's a part of it too. I mean, we talk about player fatigue, but you know, officials are running up and down the floor trying to make these calls in real time too. So I think that's an impact. Yep. Before you cut me off, though, I did want to add to the Creighton Nebraska NCAA tournament.
Please do. Yes.
So I want you to. I definitely agree with you that, like, if Nebraska stays on track and if Creighton stays on track, that NCAA tournament day will be crazy around here. But I want you to picture this from the eyes of someone following Creighton. Okay.
Okay.
Because we're coming up on the 10-year anniversary of it this year.
That's right.
Yes, we are.
Yes, we are.
So San Antonio, Texas. You have Iowa State fans 3 years after Greg McDermott's tenure. You obviously have Creighton fans.
Yeah.
You have Nebraska fans for the first time since, what was it, 20 years? When was the last time they made the tournament before 2014?
98.
Okay. So you have Nebraska fans for the first time in 15 years with their team there. You have North Carolina fans with Ethan Wragge still on Creighton's roster.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you have Providence fans all in the same city on the same weekend.
Yep.
So, like, picture that from the mind of a Creighton follower, a Creighton fan. Like, if you're there for Creighton and you're wearing Creighton gear and you're walking around the city with all those people, like, yeah, Creighton, Nebraska in an NCAA tournament at the same time, yeah, it's just different. man.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Hey, we appreciate it. Great stuff. I got listened when I get off the air to you and Jacob late night last night, but I'm sure it'll be fabulous after that one. We'll see you later this weekend.
Sounds good, guys. Thanks.
That's Matt DeMarinis from White Blue Review. Yeah, that was that trip to San Antonio was wild because of the teams that were there and the fact that Nebraska hadn't been there in a while.
Yeah.
And Creighton liked their chances. That you had that was like
Yeah,
last
that was
dance
gonna be
for Doug.
Yeah, it was gonna be like they were a potential Final Four team. At the very least, they were getting into that second weekend. But when you looked at with the way the bracket shook out and you saw Baylor, and I know that the thought was, hey, Nebraska beats Baylor. We get a Nebraska-Creighton game for the round of 32. Oh, my God, this would be amazing. Then you kind of saw what Baylor did too. But knowing that Baylor team, we're like, this is going to be a unique challenge. But he's right about all the different fan bases that were on location there too. This one, it feels like if this does happen, again, it has to happen. I don't know if you're going to see both of them in the same location, but I just think the day of, if they're both playing on the same day here in the state of Nebraska, especially here in Omaha, man, that animosity kicks in. It really does. And I think it's going to be a little bit more heightened than what we even saw in 2014, because I think even what we had the Jader call in about, it was more of kind of I remember sort of a feel-good vibe of where we were doing our show at the time, of people were kind of all-inclusive of both the Nebraska and Creighton participation. I feel like now, almost 10 years removed, there's going to be a little bit of a divide. There's going to be a little bit more of a line.
A little bit
more of a line that's going to be existed.
I know there's storylines. Don't send them to the same location. Don't send Nebraska here to Omaha.
No.
They've been there before.
But there's also part of what Matt just said about coming up on the 10-year anniversary of our trip to the AT&T Center in San Antonio.
New name since then.
Yes. The place
Frost Bank Center.
The place that has hookers outside, according to Jim.
And no defense.
No defense and hookers.
Yeah.
I was thinking of Victor. And
teams could have scored 70 points when I was
San Antonio Women of the Night.
You would think Victor Wembanyama would be more of a face of that.
You know who also was in the building that day?
Not me. Don't look at me. I wasn't
remind
there.
me.
Fred Aloysius Hoiberg.
Yeah.
As the head coach of the Iowa State Cyclones, who beat North
Carolina
Carolina Central
there,
as a 3 seed, and then followed up by beating North Carolina.
I didn't know his middle name was Aloysius.
It is today.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you
Tiberius tomorrow.
When you're on the cusp of matching your largest win total, and
That'd be
it's not even
amazing.
February.
That really was
his middle name was Aloysius.
Aloysius.
Leviticus Hoiberg.
Let's be fair.
I told you Fred's middle initial started, middle name and first initial was an A. I don't think anybody would say, Aloysius.
No, it is Christian, spelled with a K.
Christian?
Frederick Christian Hoiberg.
Okay.
Yes.
What'd you say? What was it? Alopecia?
Aloysius.
Hey, Aloysius.
When we come back, I've got some background on the College Baseball Hall of Fame, but I want to say this one thing about Fred. So you know, I told you guys, would you pay extra to have a Tominaga ISO cam? Like, you would have asked for your money back last night. He wasn't very good. And
no, he wasn't moving at all.
He didn't seem super engaged in the game.
Agreed.
That's fine. Nebraska won a game in which he scored 5. But I now want the ISO cam because I sit up across from Nebraska's bench, and he gets caught doing this. Anytime Nebraska does something poor, like a bad pass or a bad decision, bad shot, Fred is not afraid to like grimace or do the face palm or anything like that. It's kind of entertaining.
You're talking about when Sam had the errant pass, went right to Fred.
Well,
he immediately catches it in motion. Goes,
yeah, but
there was spiked it.
There was in the first half last night, Nebraska for some reason just kept driving into traffic.
Yeah,
and I'm like, whoa, this is good. And I said, and Ohio State got out to a 9-point lead. I'm like, oh, this might be one of those nights. And every time that happened, I would immediately go over to Fred, and Fred would just drop his head and he'd walk, start walking away from the scores table, or he would just, like bump his face.
As much as Fred will show
and
emotion,
I'm like, wow, like Fred's not afraid when they make a bad play. Fred is not afraid. He doesn't care if a camera's on him or not. So good job, Frederick Christian Hoiberg.
I like Aloysius better.
Yeah.
It's just more fun. Let's roll with that, at least for the day.
All right. We'll get to some emails, some tweets, some Jay haters, some Jay lovers.
Jaders.
People want to know more about the kid and his conversation with John Cook last night. So you had the kid that goat at the game.
And somebody wants to know what happens if you root for all three.
Mavericks, Jays, and Huskers?
Yeah. Nicholas on the Twitter, what do you call?
Does anybody ever root against the Mavs, though?
No.
Nobody roots against the Mavs.
Is like Switzerland.
Yeah.
Everybody loves Switzerland.
Absolutely.
Until you play them in hockey in the Olympics, and then you want to beat them. It's true. Or you meet a girl from Switzerland, and she takes all your money and all your candy and moves back home. Yeah. But other than that,
you speak from experience?
Yeah. No.
Okay.
I've never.
He'd keep the candy. You don't let anyone walk out with the candy.
Sometimes it's not your choice. They're shifty.
They're
shifty that way.
You know what? I have kept my relationships pretty localized. There's a lot of Nebraska.
You never got outside the states?
Georgia.
I forgot that's a different country.
Not the Russia.
I thought maybe you had an Eastern Bloc phase at some point.
No, I never got that opportunity.
I never have either.
Yeah.
It wasn't my choice. I was all inclusive when it came to that, but yeah, just never had that opportunity either. I'd always be interested.
Yeah. I've pretty much kept it close to home.
It'd be cool to, like at some point in my dating life to have had a girlfriend that had an accent.
Minka, is it?
Yeah. Something that had like an Ivanishevich on her last name. I don't know. It'd been fun.
From Georgia, she had an accent.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. I was like,
was it like molasses spilling out your mouth?
Here talking to Dad. Hi, Gary.
Was it like a Savannah accent?
From Atlanta.
Oh, Atlanta. Oh, Atlanta. All right.
38 past the hour. We'll do all that when we come back. The Jay haters, the Jay skers, the Husker lovers, all of that stuff. Good night for ball last night. I loved it. Good job. Both programs took care of business last night.
They're both sitting at 15-5, which brings a fun conversation to the table.
Not all 15-5 are created
We know that. They don't have to be.
But all quad one games are created equal. It's Mornings with Sharp and Handley at 1620 The Zone.
Gary Sharp, Nick Handley, and Jimmy Chavez. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Weekdays 6 to 10 on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Your Omaha area forecast from the Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV News Watch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
Another damp and foggy start Wednesday. Dense fog advisory remains in effect until noon for the Omaha Metro. Afternoon, fog lifts a bit more, staying cloudy and cool with highs in the mid-30s. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV News Watch 7.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Zoom Drain Time-Saving Traffic Center, it is slow throughout the whole metro. Some heavier traffic I-80 westbound between 60th and 72nd, as well as I-80 eastbound between Q and 72nd. If you're traveling JFK northbound, it gets slow between Chandler and I-80. Same with I-680 southbound between Dodge and I-80. And some slower traffic Dodge eastbound between 168th and 144th. It is slick. It is foggy. Please be careful and wear those seatbelts. I'm Peter Krenzer.
This time-saving traffic is brought to you by Saul's Jewelry and Loan.
So with Saul's Jewelry and Loan dealing with designer bags, what is another option that our clients have if they don't want to actually sell their item?
If you're looking to borrow some money, you don't necessarily want to get rid of it. We can hold on to it for safekeeping until you're ready to come pick it back up.
It's the most time-honored tradition to start the weekend, grabbing a cold one from a local Nebraska brewery. Let's be real here. It's cold outside, and you don't want to drink the same boring beer as those Hawkeye fans. Drink Nebraska brewed beer, cider, or seltzers instead. Each week, we're putting the spotlight on a unique Nebraska brewery with One Beer Friday. Share your brew on social media with the hashtag One Beer Friday, and you'll be entered to win a $25 gift card to a local Nebraska brewery. Nebraska is the good life with great beer. Click nebraska.beer to learn more.
Hi, this is Doug Nodgard with Equitable Bank. Great service never goes out of style. When the digital age dawned, many said computers would be able to handle many of the interactions that used to take a person. Boy, were they wrong. How many times have you called your bank and gotten a recording to press 1 or 2? Not at Equitable. Not only does Equitable answer your call on the first ring, it's answered by a human being. That's because Equitable Bank values its customers. Equitable Bank, we take banking personally. Member FDIC.
Betting on your favorite sporting events just got a whole lot easier. Warhorse Sportsbook is now open in Omaha. Save yourself the drive across the river and put your money where your mouth is at Horseman's Park, 6303 Q Street. Use the Warhorse app to check odds and build your bets before placing your wagers in person, including live in-game betting. No bets, no glory. Wagers may only be placed on Nebraska-based teams when played outside the state of Nebraska. Must be 21 or older to gamble. Gambling problem? Call 1-833-BET-OVER.
Host is roasting every morning. Host is roasting every day.
Put your coffee department in good hands with Host Coffee Service, providing direct delivery and loaned coffee equipment with service programs. If you're ready to change to a better coffee provider, it's time for Host Coffee.
Omaha's best coffee since 1972. Host Coffee is always roasting something good for you.
1620 The Zone is on location Friday, January 26th at American Cancer Society's Hope Lodge, Nebraska, in support of the Creighton Pinkout Game, a free home away from home for cancer patients and caregivers. You can find details on 1620thezone.com and at cancer.org/pinkout.
Nate Bargatze, the Be Funny Tour.
I mean, Chuck E. Cheese is rough. I don't know if you've been there in a while. They look like they're trying to go to business and they can't.
All new material.
They filed for bankruptcy and they're still open. They call Blockbuster and they're like, how do you get out? We want out.
Nate Bargatze, Saturday, June 29th, CHI Health Center. Tickets available at Ticketmaster.com. Produced by Outback Presents. Don't miss Nate Bargatze, the Be Funny Tour.
The Zone Hotline is powered by 42 Degrees, The Source, by your mom's house.
I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel's lessons are fun. They only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and in 3 weeks, presto, you're starting to speak another language, like magic.
I love that Babbel's lessons aren't just robots talking. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right. And they're designed by real language teachers, so you learn how to have real-world conversations, things you'll actually use.
It's incredible. After using Babbel, I'm ready to start having real conversations in French.
There's all kinds of ways to learn. Use Babbel's podcasts or games or videos. You can even join live classes with a language teacher.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than
Babbel.
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 Babbel, évidemment. Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Go to Babbel.com and start learning a new language today. That's Babbel.com. Start learning a language today at Babbel.com.
Roofing, siding, and gutters. Make the right call with the rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard.
Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
All right, we're enjoying the conversation here about Nebraska and Creighton basketball. Kim would like to know, when are you guys going to talk about zipper merge issues in Omaha?
I feel like we get on that a lot in the crossover. I feel like Connor is a champion of the zipper merge conversation.
Hey, this is all about basketball today.
Yeah,
we
can ask Connor about it.
We will get to that. Kim, thanks for the email. Texture Bernie. He goes, one thing I remember about the Jader, he was sad that day. Creighton fans weren't sad for 2 more days. As a matter of fact, he's been sad every single day of his life after the first round, even when they're a 3 seed.
Ooh.
Which 90-91, Nebraska was a 3 seed going to the Metrodome to take on number 14 Xavier.
Nebraska, if we're making comparisons, since this is the best start they've had since the 90-91 season, they're not going to be a 3 seed. So.
Man, negative.
I know. I feel like there's a ceiling there, and I feel
ask you about Santa Claus.
Let me tell you about that one, Jimmy.
Okay, so a little clarification here. I don't know the clarification. There's just got some questions answered. Thank you for people in the know. So the College Baseball Hall of Fame is in Overland Park. They announced it yesterday. They had a big ceremony. It's going there. Alex Gordon is going to the College Baseball Hall of Fame this year.
Mm-hmm.
He'll do it not very far from his house.
Yeah, Overland Park, legend.
So
Shout out
Omaha
Johnson
was
County.
interested, the people behind the scenes, but they just could not make it work. Maybe something that they wanted, something they could not. It was not the right fit. So Omaha actually has been out of the running for the College Baseball Hall of Fame for almost a year.
Wow.
There is something on the horizon to celebrate the College World Series experience in Omaha.
Streetcar.
That may be coming sooner than later, but it will not be the College Baseball Hall of Fame, but maybe something that has more of a tie-in to the city of Omaha. So Omaha was interested. They just couldn't make it work.
Can we have the College World Series Hall of Fame? Let's bring back that draft that was supposed to happen.
Don't they have the College World Series Hall of Fame on the concourse at the Chuck? You walk around the
Yeah.
concourse, it gives you
all these teams.
all of 1950.
That's true. Yeah, there's at least some recognition there. I'd be curious on what that would be, though. What could be on the horizon? Because
it sounds like it is really cool.
And I'm
Stay
look,
tuned, as they say in the business.
I'm sure there's logistics that were involved. I'd be curious on what Omaha might not be able to provide when it came to a College Baseball Hall of Fame discussion
Maybe you want
that
some
Overland Park
demands on
could.
space and maybe some financing that you're like,
shoe boxes of cash.
not for us. But
it's not for everyone.
So as we get a little fired up here, because Overland Park, Kansas, does not have the College World Series. If you did not know, you can't.
I can confirm.
You can't go to the Overland Park Rec Complex, and there's the CWS.
Yeah.
Be honest. Outside of the College World Series, as an Omahan, how often would you go to it?
Oh, it's true. It's
So
not
you're-
often.
You're basically you're basically like a lot of businesses around the ballpark.
You're cashing in on the week.
You're hoping to
weekend.
make about 70% of your
Yes.
income over the course
during
of
2 weeks. Yep.
So maybe we'll have something different.
Now,
the decision makers have come to that.
would every
as well.
team that came to play Creighton or teams that decided to stay in Omaha when they were playing Nebraska, they would probably
Team
make their
field
way.
trip.
They would make their way to the
Yeah.
College Baseball Hall of Fame
as
too.
they drove up the hill on 13th to go see where Rosenblatt used to be.
Exactly. Exactly. Taking it all in.
All right, 8:48. Brandon Vogel's coming up the next hour. So part of Nebraska's resurgence this year, where they are 15-5. Quick question for the group here. This was on the old, it was on the stream.
It's like how you make
1620 The Zone TV. What now?
Mention the record again. It's good. It's facts. It's facts. I just thought it was funny. You made sure you mentioned the record again.
Nebraska and Creighton are both 15-5, and they're both 3-3 in quad one win games.
Yep.
Quad one games.
These are facts.
Yes.
Not everyone gets
Somebody
a newspaper
reminded me
anymore.
that didn't Creighton beat Nebraska by 30? And I said, yes, but that
Facts.
was last year. They haven't beaten them in 2024. Rusty has a good question here. I'll
You're
let you
here to
guys.
team.
I'll let you guys answer this.
All right.
Before the season starts, someone tells you Nebraska is 15-5 with a win against Purdue. How would you grade the season at that point?
Success.
Yeah. But I would also ask, well, did they get in the tournament?
Yeah, because I think we've crossed after a win like that.
Yeah.
We've kind of crossed over that if Nebraska is not in the 4-letter tournament,
Oh, definitely.
it's a disappointment. now.
Definitely.
So success, yes. Whoa, what is Fred doing?
Yeah.
But now it's the next level of, can Nebraska handle the next 11 games in the regular season?
When you're on the doorstep. Yeah. No doubt.
Because it's out there, man. It's the elephant in the room. They got to win a road game.
Yep.
They've got to win a road game. It's tough to win. The only team that wins on the road in the Big Ten is Wisconsin. So it's tough. And Nebraska, though, needs that. They can't just, hey, we protect PBA and we're going to waltz into the dance. They got to go get a road win. So how do they handle that? So, yeah, success right now. Oh, Fred, love you long time. Or for some people, Fred, I love you just one day. Wait till you play Maryland this week.
Maryland and Saturday.
So success, yes. But there would be a tinge of disappointment, just like football.
Yep.
Just like football.
In November.
Because Doug says, dang, the discussion on what ifs for NU Hoops reminds me of all the red Kool-Aid drinkers on November 5th. All the Huskers have to do is win one more game out of their final, and maybe they'll get to 8
He's
and
not
end up
wrong.
in Florida.
He's not
so,
wrong.
yeah.
No, and just like the football season
And
too.
Football was a disappointment
It was.
that they didn't make a bowl game when you go unbeaten in October and
Yep.
you're winless in November. Basketball has crossed over into the territory of there would be disappointment.
Yeah. When you
And
have
the ghost of Nebraska basketball past would be back.
Yep. You have the amount of games in front of you, like football did, where you're like, you just need to get one of those wins to be bowl eligible, and it doesn't happen. So there's that disappointment. Now you're at 15-5. If you played yourself out of the NCAA tournament, as great as it was to be 15-5, there's absolutely 100% there's going to be disappointment. And again, this is where it's exciting in the moment. It's exciting in the moment. And again, what your eyes have told you, what you've seen with this team when they actually are functioning at a high level, mainly at home. I think everybody should be aware, if you're not already aware, that there are still obstacles that this team has to overcome to feel good about that positioning. That's why February is absolutely huge. It's the month that you start to take on the team that, if you're going to be there in the NCAA tournament, how you're going to look. And that February needs to come. If it doesn't come this weekend, it needs to come with a road victory or two.
All right, one of the more amazing stories inside of this Nebraska basketball season. Again, they're gonna tell you, Seamus is gonna give me some notes, and it's gonna say Nebraska's having a historic season. It doesn't feel like it. I don't know. It's just a weird kind of season.
You said on Monday, though, they're a weird team.
Yeah, they're a weird good team.
Mm-hmm.
So here may be part of a weird good team. I said this earlier in the hour. Like if your boss says, Mr. Hoiberg, please come to the office, and he's sitting in front of you, and you're like, Fred, I got an extra $1,000. It can be yours. Tell me why it should be yours. What if Fred said, let me pull out my phone. Look at this selfie with one of my players that wears 0. His name's CJ Wilcher. That is one of the subtle, like the new Fred Hoiberg. So I've been harsh on Fred. Fred got to Nebraska, and he was only interested in players that helped his team now instead of later.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Goggles wasn't right for the program. Okay. Goggles on skates. It was time to go. Okay. Because he couldn't help you. It was later.
Yeah.
And then Fred made the transition of, okay, I know I got to get dudes that can help us now, but I'm okay with guys that can help us later. I want more older guys, but it's okay to have a couple of guys in the hopper as they get older. Eli Rice is a perfect example. Eli Rice had good minutes again last night.
He did.
But I'm telling you, I didn't think this was possible. Because he was 50-50 if he was going to be here this year.
I was waiting.
CJ Wilcher, I mean, he could be at the Greyhound station. He could be going out of town. Nebraska's 15-5, correct?
That's correct.
Wilcher's just missed one game.
That's correct.
Might have had one of his better games of a Husker career last night. Do you know what the splits are on Wilcher? His shooting splits. You'd like to take a gander at this. Remember, last year wasn't so good. First year in the program was hit or miss, and he was our pinata.
Mm-hmm.
Wilcher is shooting 50% from the floor. He is
5, right?
44% from beyond the arc, and he is shooting 93% at the line.
And in conference play, what is he? 56% beyond the arc, I think. I'm pretty sure that was the number that I saw last night too.
It's
Big Ten Sixth Man of the Year type stuff.
Hey, diehard Husker fan that sits next to John Bruning and is there every game. I just bring that up because I saw John last night.
Okay.
There, look at I just name drop.
You are. Pick that up.
He didn't even know. He didn't even know who I am.
Just dropped another one.
Is you were like, nope, that's not Wilcher. I think we got to give some love to old CJ.
Yeah,
because CJ he was headed to the scrap heap, whether it be by his head coach or not necessarily his head coach, but there was, where am I going to play?
Mm-hmm.
And then more like the fans. I'm over that guy.
Yep.
He doesn't understand when is the right time to take a corner pocket 3. Well, he understood last night when the time was to take a shot. He had 16 points, and I'm going to say, of his 3 years at Nebraska, that's one of his best games he's played.
Yeah, and you mentioned that it wasn't ever really in doubt. The second half run that Ohio State got on when that game got it within 3, who was the guy that put distance again? CJ.
Him and Mass, back-to-back threes.
And I've talked about it before with the end of last year, where he just seemed to kind of accept his role, where he was coming off the bench. There was a lot more use out of Casey for obvious reasons, and CJ was a role player. And he never seemed to, again, body language is everything, but he never seemed to get disengaged with it. And I thought, okay, this is a guy that's just What are you supposed to do? You're in February of the season. How else are you supposed to handle it? You can only handle it the right way and then figure out what you want to do in the future once the season's over with. So he was a guy that I think we were on CJ Wilcher alert almost every day when it came to the roster reconstruction going into this season. And as days continued to go by and CJ Wilcher was never discussed in the transfer portal, and then you started hearing from Fred and he was talking about guys that are coming back and he would drop CJ's name in there and you're like, wow, is he really going to come back? And then we kept wondering, okay, what type of a role is he going to have? Because you're looking at the backcourt, especially trying to establish a point guard. Well, CJ doesn't really fill that role. And then you think, okay, well, then you move forward and think, well, maybe that role might be a little bit more significant, considering you're going to have to try to piece together point guard, but he's still not going to be a starter. And from day one this season, he has been one of the ultimate team guys. And I don't know if it's because he knows this is his role. I'm sure it is, that he knows this is his role. He's accepted it. He's accepted being in Lincoln. He likes it. He's got good chemistry with the guys that he played with before in this new group. That I think there's just a lot of things about this team that have really helped CJ Wilcher flourish between his coach, I think probably clearly communicating what's going to be expected of him too. And he's thrived.
Fred's done a better job of Sam Griesel and Derek Walker were some of the best things that happened to Fred Hoiberg at Nebraska, because Fred's voice got amplified and Fred's found a niche this year with his voice with this team.
Yeah. And I think CJ Wilcher is one of the main benefactors of that.
Thank you. Thank you, last night, basketball gods, because this has delivered us. It's January 24th, and Happer is tweeting out like Q1 stuff and the whole your NCAA resume for both Nebraska and Creighton. No,
hey,
boys in Lincoln, this is how it's supposed to be. All right. Been doing it a long time here in Omaha. Boys in Lincoln, this is how it's supposed to be. Don't let us down.
Yep. Still a lot of work to be done.
But we're only focusing on January. Both teams are 15-5, and they're both 3-3 in quad one.
That's true. These are facts. We're interested in the facts right now, right?
And there are some landmines out there for
yes.
Nebraska.
You just told me not to.
Yeah, but
I did it.
But I'm different.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm built different. There are some landmines that you have to avoid.
But yeah. It's called road games. It's called quad 3 games.
Yeah, that's why Lego Maniac, he's like, well, the only way Nebraska wins the tournament games, I got to play in Omaha. Technically, that would be a neutral site game.
Yeah, it would be. It'd count either way.
All right. One more hour to go. Brandon Vogel from counterread.com will join us. We'll see what he thinks. Nebraska football, by the way, while Nebraska basketball is winning, it might behoove Nebraska football to pick up a big victory here shortly. We'll get into that and much more. Also, Jim Harbaugh still has not become a member of the Chargers.
No.
AFC West
blowing.
Hey, how about this? AFC West, Andy Reid, Antonio Pierce, Sean Payton, Jim Harbaugh. Not a bad division. 2 passive-aggressive guys.
Yep.
And then the GOAT. And then
Antonio Pierce. Will he bring Herm with him?
Herm has put Arizona State football on probation while Antonio Pierce was there.
Exactly.
Yeah. But see, that doesn't matter. Like, you go to the NFL, stuff that happens in college doesn't matter. Hello, Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah.
It's all about winning.
Yeah. It doesn't. That stuff doesn't matter at all.
That's what I said.
Not at all.
If you value Herm as a coach, bring him. He's fine. It's the NFL. Highly regarded in the NFL.
I had him as a coach.
You did
one time.
How'd it go?
That's why I have Andy Reid. It's mornings with Sharp and Handley and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com with Gary Sharp and Nick Handley. Big names, big games. We've got them all. 1620 The Zone.
Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill is your home for the big game. Whether it's the NFL or a rivalry on the hardwood, you will find all the action on Oscar's top-of-the-line audio-video system. With 40 TVs and massive dual projectors, the game has never looked better. Pair that with their award-winning char-buffed wings and $7.99 Monday through Friday lunch specials. Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill has everything you need. 173rd and West Center Road and for takeout at 162nd and Maple.
Hey there, it's Nick Handley for Hims. You know, if you're losing your hair, it's not something you're always looking to make a big deal about. You know, like the first time maybe you swallowed gum and thought something bad was going to happen. Or you accidentally dropped your food on the floor and it was under 3 seconds. It's not a big deal. Hey, the same goes for problems in the bedroom, anxiety, depression, or if you're looking to take better care of your health in general. Through Hims, you can upgrade your daily routines with prescription treatments that can make a big difference and help you regain your confidence and help you feel like yourself again. The entire process is 100% online, so the conversation stays between you and a medical provider you can chat with through Hims.com. Hims has helped millions of guys just like you to get help for their health problems. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, Hims.com/start. That's Hims.com/start for your free online visit. HIMS.com/START. Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information.
Kevin Red here with Mentality. I'm here with one of our clients.
I realized that, Father Time is undefeated and miss the feeling of being in my 20s again. I was like, what the heck? Why not? Got to give it a try. This is the one shot that we have. So I want to feel like that spring chicken again. So I went to Mentality, and it's been an amazing experience ever since. My only thing that I wish I could change is that I went sooner.
We've helped thousands of guys get their life back on track. Start today at lowtusa.com. That's lowtusa.com.
Many people go back to the dealership out of habit or because they think the dealer is the only one who knows how to fix their car. At Omaha Car Care, we offer a better option. We have ASE certified technicians, the technology to service any vehicle, and free loaner cars. The dealer will sell you a package of services. We'll provide the service you want for your car as your trusted partner. I'm Rick Betker, owner of Omaha Car Care, and we'll be along for the ride.
Sean Callahan breaks down Nebraska's recruiting class after early signing period Thursday at Holy Ghost Church on 52nd and Q. Doors open at 5, program starts at 7, and it's only $10 for adults, $5 for children. Sponsored by Mama's Pizza and Beer City.
I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel's lessons are fun. They only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and in 3 weeks, presto, you're starting to speak another language. Like magic.
I love that Babbel's lessons aren't just robots talking. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right. And they're designed by real language teachers, so you learn how to have real-world conversations, things you'll actually use.
It's incredible. After using Babbel, I'm ready to start having real conversations in French.
There's all kinds of ways to learn. Use Babbel's podcasts or games or videos. You can even join live classes with a language teacher.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than
Babbel.
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 Babbel, évidemment.
Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Go to Babbel.com and start learning a new language today. That's Babbel.com. Start learning a language today at Babbel.com.
1620 The Zone at 1620thezone.com. Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Patrick looking for a nickname for a rink mast. Full mast. Patrick says, make it happen.
Full mast?
Would have been a good Journal Star headline.
Okay.
Full mast.
Got it. So we've got Dutch oven and full mast today.
No, we don't have Dutch oven.
Sean like Dutch oven.
Yeah.
No? Is it too easy or is it...
Just like Nate the comedian who's promoting his show as family friendly, Nebraska basketball needs to be kid friendly.
No, that's no fun. Nicknames aren't fun that way.
Yeah,
but that's kind of
you don't need
sort
your
of
3-year-old asking your wife, "Hey, what's a Dutch oven?"
now, see, that is true. Okay, thanks for
yesterday was
and how is it connected to the Cleveland Steamer?
The rusty trombones. Just keep going on and on about that. We'll just
Tim writes into the Equitable Bank hold on here. Jason writes in. Creighton fans are mad that their 29-point win of Nebraska is going to wind up buying them 2-hole sea lions in the NCAA tournament. Calm down, kids. Be grateful. It's one way to look at it. Mm-hmm. Nebraska winning is helping Creighton's resume.
That is true.
Tim writes in. I'm going to be a little bit different. I am the person that loves basketball. I like Nebraska basketball. I like Creighton basketball. I listen to you doing Mavs games. Tell me what I am. And he had an emoji.
Yeah.
He goes,
Loves basketball.
my observation is
Basketball fan.
there is a lot of pressure on this season for Creighton. So when I watch Creighton play, even when they win, it's like an exhale.
Yeah.
They're tight. I watched Nebraska play at the game last night, and Nebraska looks like they're having more fun than Creighton.
St. John's game, I feel like Creighton really let loose. Yes, that was an exhale. They survived that game, but I felt like they legitimately enjoyed that moment. So I would disagree there as far as the collective exhale. Well, yeah, Saturday. But as far as a game, especially a game at home, I felt like they were in the moment.
I mean, the expectations are.
It is. He's absolutely correct there.
Completely different, even right now.
And that's why whoever said not all 15-5 records are created equal.
I hope you
It's
blocked them.
It's 100% true, but they're not supposed to be. They don't have to be. The expectation level for one program compared to the other are completely different.
Just keep winning.
If Creighton were to get ousted in the first weekend, say they make the round of 32 and they get beat, that's a major disappointment for the season Creighton was supposed to have. If Nebraska ends their season in the round of 32, we've got statues going up. So
Brett says if Eli Rice could learn how to play defense, be more active, he would be tough not to start in your lineup. He's getting quality minutes, and I think he's trying to figure out his role. I agree with Brett. Mayor Joel, you got to share some Joel stories.
Oh, Joel!
I've
rolling with Joel and the Avenger back in the day when we were in high school.
Now
Joel's a great.
He brings up something. Any concern about Casey riding the bench last night? Good on Fred. Now there was foul trouble involved.
Yeah, foul trouble in the first half.
But I don't think Fred liked how Casey played. And you're not just going to play him because he's Casey Tominaga. I mean, he was on look at that. He was on the cover of
the game day program.
The game day program last night.
Went to his head.
So there's where Fred is like, you know what? You're not playing well. I'm not doing it tonight. Let's just we'll find different ways. You're not done, but we're going to find different ways. That's a sign of my team, our team, and I've coached myself into options. And we'll see you because we're going to need you against Maryland. Thank you.
There were moments in the Rutgers.
He only had 5 last night. They won handily against Ohio State.
Now, he did have a stronger presence late in the Rutgers game, but there were moments in that game too where and he wasn't in foul trouble, where his absence was interesting to me as well. I think Fred, and we've known Fred to do this, where he'll try to send a message, whether, we saw back in the day some healthy scratches. He's taking minutes away from guys when he feels like they're not part of it. By the way,
that's what the thing. He's turned this into the coaches are running the asylum, not the players.
Yeah, and that's a good thing. That's what it needs to be.
And it was his own doing. He got run over his first couple of years by players.
By the way, if you went to the Peacock game, guess who else was right when you went to Peacock to watch it live? Casey.
Casey was watching the game?
No, Casey, that was on the menu.
Oh,
okay. To click play.
Oh, yes,
to click play, it was Casey.
So yeah, it went to his head.
Yep. He was the face of last night's game.
Sometimes you have a bad night. All right. Nebraska Mike's going to join us coming up in the next segment. It's Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
More with Gary and Nick after this on 1620 The Zone. Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Zoom Drain Time-Saving Traffic Center, tough conditions to drive in this morning. Things moving pretty slow. I-80 westbound between 60th and 72nd, as well as I-80 eastbound between 84th and 72nd. And if you're traveling eastbound on Dodge, it's pretty slow between 180th and 144th. If you're on I-680 southbound, it might slow down a little bit around Pacific to I-80. And if you're on JFK northbound, some stop-and-go traffic when you get to Chandler towards I-80. Stay safe and wear those seatbelts. I'm Peter Krenzer.
This time-saving traffic was brought to you by IBEW Local 22.
The electrical market requires your company to adjust to an ever-changing field. IBEW Local 22 gives you flexibility with access to journeymen, apprentices, and proven training programs. Call Bob at IBEW Local 22 for details at 402-980-7596.
Make the right call. John Higgins Weather Guard, the home of the roofery.
When it's time to replace or repair storm damage, make the right call. John Higgins Weather Guard, the local, trusted, and proven choice. No one has installed more DaVinci roofs, and there's a reason why John Higgins Weather Guard is the nation's leader. Community member, community supporter. Make the right call.
John Higgins Weather Guard, the home of the roofery. Make the right call.
Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. EquitableOnline.com.
Rock from the darker side. Disturbed live. You're not among it down with the sickness. Take Back Your Life Tour, January 29th. CHI Health Center Arena. New album, Divisive, available now. With special guest, Falling in Reverse. And Plush. Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. Don't miss Disturbed live.
This is a sale so hot, Standard Heating and Air can only do it once a year. Right now, buy a Carrier air conditioner from Standard Heating and Air and get a free furnace. Now, that's a hot deal.
StandardAC.com, where we do the things we do.
Carrier, turn to the experts.
At Churco, Chef Dave blends the distinctive food of Northern Italy with the melting pot of American cuisine to bring a unique fusion of style and flavors to West Omaha. From fresh pastas handcrafted daily to house-dry aged steaks, focaccia bread baked daily. Churco is perfect for date night or any night. Churco features crafted unique cocktails, an extensive Italian and American wine list, and a robust happy hour Tuesday through Sundays. Churco, located at 192nd and Q and CIRCOOmaha.com.
Cards issued by Sutton Bank and Celtic Bank, members FDIC. Terms and conditions apply.
Are you the decision maker in your company? Do you want more control over your business spending? Meet Ramp, the only corporate card and spend management platform designed to save you time and money. Ramp offers unlimited corporate cards with spend controls you can customize to stop wasteful spending before it happens. Ramp makes expense reports a breeze by automatically collecting receipts and matching them to the right transaction. You'll close your books in hours instead of days. Ramp allows you to see all of your company spend in one place, so you can make quick, informed decisions about your business finances. Plus, Ramp will share insights based on your spending to help you cut costs. Over 15,000 businesses have added up to 5% to their bottom line with Ramp. You can be one of them. If you're a decision maker, adding Ramp could be one of the best decisions you've ever made. And now get $250 when you join Ramp. Just go to ramp.com/sports. Ramp.com/sports. ramp.com/sports.
Tickets for less. Best seats, best prices, no service fees. Shop ticketsforless.com. KOZN Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620 The Zone. Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
All right, last hour. Congratulations. Good luck. Cleet Blakeman is working the Niner-Lion game, the NFC Championship.
Okay.
I got Sean Smith, who home teams against the spread are 17-29-3. So cue up. America's team is rigging the NFL to get to the Super Bowl because Sean Smith, who favors road teams, is working the AFC Championship game.
Well, when do you think that officiating
Did I
crew
throw you out by saying America's team? Kansas City has become America's team. They had 50 million people watching.
If it was about Jason Kelsey, I think they would. I really believe that. He's somebody we can all relate to and get behind.
They just dropped the New Heights podcast.
He's America's uncle.
There is a clip in there that Jason Kelsey's wife was petrified about his actions, but
she married
Travis said, Tay, as he's now calling her, said
Tay.
that she loved it.
Oh, if Tay approves.
I just want you guys to realize something.
Tay. Wow, it's Tay.
I know Tay. Tony Dungy, you're going to be very upset here because I'm going to talk about Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. Do you guys realize that at their wedding,
he's got to make a
Jason Kelsey is going to be making a speech?
Yep, I saw that tweeted out after the game and thought, oh yeah, that's perfect. It was the picture of him doing the
suit jacket, no shirt.
Quick one here before we get to Nebrasketball, Mike.
Hey.
Ken Palm. So the net rankings this morning, Creighton is 12th, Nebraska is 47th. Ken Palm, Creighton is 15, Nebraska is 45. Creighton and the Ken Palm adjusted defensive efficiency 13th. All right. Here is Nebrasketball Mike to kick off this hour. Hello.
How we doing?
Good. How you doing?
I'm nervous.
Because the Royal Rumble coming up?
No.
Oh.
I don't care.
Whoa. I care. I care.
We
You should
have
care.
to finish this.
We are what?
We have to finish this.
Oh, yes.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Yes.
Yep.
We have to go on the road and win a couple of games. Do we have it in us to finish it?
That's the million-dollar question, Mike.
If we can win a couple of games, we can worry about March. Now, do you understand that? This is Nebraska basketball. We can worry about March and January if we can do this.
Are you talking to me or the team?
Everybody.
Oh, okay. Okay, we're in this together.
We've got it. Maryland's physical.
Yeah.
Maryland's physical as hell. They scare me to death. But we got to go do it. And we got to go get Northwestern too.
Might have Juwan back.
Well, how about I think Juwan Gary will be back for Maryland. You're missing a game. You don't think a win at home against Wisconsin on February 1st would be a nice little bump?
I understand that, but I'm getting really nasty whatever year it was where we went 23-8 and 13-5.
2014.
And just missed out because we couldn't beat Kansas at home.
Oh, that year. Never mind. That wasn't 2014.
Yeah, the Big Ten was down that year.
Are we that down now?
No. I mean, this is probably you're looking at 5 or 6 teams.
Oh God! All right.
That's going to be a drag now.
How about the icebreaker for Rink Mast?
You want that to be his nickname?
The icebreaker.
Ships go to the North Pole and do what they do.
Say that again.
What?
Pretty good.
No. Hold on. What did you say? What goes to the North Pole?
There's big old ships that go to the North Pole and South Pole and break up ice shipping lanes.
Yes.
That's
Icebreaker.
what he is.
Okay.
He's the icebreaker.
I've never seen I'm not old enough to know Dave Hoppin.
Okay.
Okay, that was some weird combination of Dave Hoppin and the Polish rifle. That was weird. But he's really good, and we better take advantage of this team. It's really good, and they deserve to be where they are, and they deserve to be better than where they are. If we played 2 more games, we could be competing for the Big Ten championship. Do you realize that? If we go and if we beat Minnesota and we close out Rutgers, we're 17-3.
Yeah, but okay, I get it, but I don't want to play the what if game. Okay, we're not gonna play the what if game. It happened.
Difficult not to this year.
Bad night.
Difficult not to.
Bad night to have a bad day at the office.
Mm-hmm.
They're 15-5. They are what they are. They're a good basketball team that can convince you over the last 11 games that they're better than good, that they're better than hanging around the 11 seed line, where right now they're about a 9 seed, but they need to
Where's
solidify.
the Big Ten tournament?
Minneapolis. You want to go?
Well,
huh?
That's awful cold.
You never know that
Mike,
time of year.
Mike, have you been sleeping the last week? It's actually they've had a mild winter in the Twin Cities.
They have.
I've got to work on getting a new equipment.
Okay.
My chair is ancient. I don't trust it going anywhere. Okay. We are so close to finishing this. We are so close to going to Minneapolis and having people look at this and go, Nebraska fits this year.
Yeah,
close.
Nebraska's not far away from playing on Friday.
No, they're not.
We talked at the beginning of the year.
If
Nick and I were
we can go
talking
get a couple road games.
Yeah, Nick and I were talking at the beginning of the year. Avoid playing on Wednesday.
Yeah.
That's a step in the right direction.
That's a goal.
Nebraska realistically could avoid everything and be playing on Friday.
A double bye. My
This
God.
is, I tell you what, nobody wants us at home.
No.
Nobody wants us at home.
No. They should
Take that, Wisconsin.
They should move that game against Wisconsin next Thursday to Peacock.
Yeah, that's true, too.
If he's going to put up 34 and then we're going to beat Purdue on Big Stay.
He doesn't need to.
Not every game, but keep, home games, yes. I don't care if I can't see him.
You can put up 20 in K-State. Could give you more.
You guys, and I'm happy we're good.
All right. I appreciate it. I enjoy your happiness. How's our mutual female friend doing?
I haven't been on Twitter in a week.
Why? You got back your Twitter account and you've disappeared for a week. Why?
Did you get shut out again?
I'm a different person. Like, I don't need the whole, everyday thing. I get back. Once I get a picture up, I'll get more active and stuff. But,
Hey, you have your picture.
Go through my left, right. This is mine.
The picture we took of you at courtside at Pinnacle Bank Arena.
I got rid of my old computer, and that's where it was.
Oh. All right. Well,
somebody's got to have it somewhere.
That sucks.
It's somewhere in the cloud.
All right. Thank you, Mike. You covered a lot of bases there, and you dropped a Richard Van Polgeest on this show. So good call today.
What?
Richard Van Polgeest. He was from the Netherlands as well. He was the person you referenced that played with Dave Hoppen.
The Polish rifle?
Yeah.
That's an interesting connection. I didn't know that.
That they were both from the Netherlands?
Yeah, no, I didn't know that. I'm not old enough to remember Big Dave. I know people talk about him, but I'm not old enough to remember him.
Yeah. Well, he's one of the best. An A+ human as well. But Richard Van Polgeest had a nice solid career. We don't get many basketball players in Nebraska from the Netherlands, as you know.
No, we don't. And everybody, I hope nobody went with Rick Smits from the Netherlands too. I hope nobody was like, he's a copy of him. No, he's not. He's 6 inches shorter than him, and he's bigger than him around, but he's not 7'4". So please don't copy that.
Yeah. Okay. I lost you there. All right. Mike, appreciate it.
All right.
Okay.
It's good.
About the process again.
It usually is, but enjoyable.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, that's why I like these appearances by Nebrasketball Mike
shows.
Spaced out a little bit, because he gets you. He throws a lot at you. If he's on every other day, we don't have as much to process.
And good morning to Miss Sprinkles, by the way, who listens.
Yeah,
or at least follows her Twitter.
Dan,
no, today's rhyme
about our discussion about CJ Wilcher, keeping CJ as the 6th man after Gary was hurt. Baller move by Fred.
Yeah,
Fred just has over the last couple of years, he's developed a better understanding of his personnel and what they can and can't do. And I think CJ is more comfortable coming off the bench.
Yep. Totally agree. Saw it last year. Seen it this year. And I think for one of the very few guys that's been a part of this team in both the good roster and the bad roster as far as overall culture, I think there's a reason that he stuck around. And I think you could maybe even look at how that culture was last year with Griesel and Walker and say that probably had also a very positive effect on CJ Wilcher as well. That not only does he stick around, but he accepts that role, and now he's thrived in it. It's a huge part. I mean, if this thing goes the way that it appears to be going and it ends in the NCAA tournament, CJ Wilcher is going to be a major, major part of that.
I do think that Gary will play on Saturday morning out at Maryland.
Sound like he was close yesterday.
And they will need him in that game. All right. So Nebraska's on the road on Saturday. Creighton has DePaul. Where they have Marquette tonight with the interim head coach.
Yeah, with the new chapter in
Omaha.
Basketball.
Omaha be on the road. So Omaha. Now we got to get Omaha to the NCAA tournament.
Yep.
But you got to win the tournament up in Sioux Falls. That's the only way they're doing it in the Summit League. But they have they go to Oral Roberts tomorrow night, and then they have Denver on Saturday. One day it'll happen that all three will be in the NCAA tournament at the same time, and we will absolutely lose our minds. There will be Nebraska over here, Creighton over here, and like Omaha will be in the middle, holding people off.
Yep.
Like, no.
Yeah. Hey, guys.
Yeah.
Root for us, too.
All right. Brandon Vogel, coming up before the hour is over on a Wednesday edition. Good show, everybody. Thanks for all the interaction on 1620 The Zone.
Gary Sharp, Nick Handley, and Jimmy Chavez. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Weekdays 6 to 10. On 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Previously on The Crossover.
If we're going to treat weather like sports, why don't we have gambling on the weather?
Great idea.
Why are our friends at FanDuel not setting an over-under on the temperature, and we're like weighted with bating breath all day if it's going to get up to
Over-under
like
on temperatures is a great idea.
Plus
That's such a good
350 for an
idea.
anytime
snowstorm.
A same-day parlay. Are we going to get both grapple and snow today?
Mornings with Sharp and Handley. The Connor Happer Show. Unsportsmanlike conduct. 6A to 6P. 1620. The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast from the Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV News Watch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
Another damp and foggy start Wednesday. Dense fog advisory remains in effect until noon for the Omaha Metro. Afternoon, fog lifts a bit more, staying cloudy and cool with highs in the mid-30s. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV News Watch 7.
The Zone Hotline is powered by 42 Degrees. The Source. By your mom's house.
Kevin Moret for Mentality Men's Health. Guys, in the over 23,000 clients who came to us for testosterone treatment, most clients start so they can do it right. After helping men for over 10 years, every day we see new clients whose treatment had shortcuts on treatment and monitoring. This not only affected their results, it was also risky. Guys, work with a doctor, one who monitors your care, reviews labs, and modifies your dose. Our doctors will optimize your free testosterone and maximize you mentally and physically. Schedule in Omaha at lowtusa.com. That's lowtusa.com.
The Blackstone Meatball is where casual charm meets culinary excellence. Our diverse menu offers comforting pastas, fresh salads, hearty sandwiches, and of course, meatballs. Elevate your experience with a craft cocktail or a glass of wine from our well-curated selection. Whether it's a laid-back lunch, a cozy date night, or a catered celebration, the Blackstone Meatball promises upscale flavors in a casual, welcome setting. Visit us at one of our 2 locations, the Blackstone District or just west of Village Point on 180th and Dodge, or visit theblackstonemeatball.com.
Hey fans, looking for the best seats without the hidden fees? Then you need to check out Tickets for Less. Whether it's Creighton games, Husker matchups, or big-time concerts and events, they've got you covered, all with no service fees. Now, you ready to score a deal? Use the code THEZONE at ticketsforless.com and save on your next event. You prefer to go mobile? Grab the free Tickets for Less app and shop with ease. Every seat holds a story, so find yours and save when you use the promo code THEZONE at ticketsforless.com and the Tickets for Less app today.
Sean Callahan breaks down Nebraska's recruiting class after early signing period Thursday at Holy Ghost Church on 52nd and Q. Doors open at 5, program starts at 7, and it's only $10 for adults, $5 for children. Sponsored by Mama's Pizza and Beer City.
Cards issued by Sutton Bank and Celtic Bank, members FDIC. Terms and conditions apply.
Are you the decision maker in your company? Do you want more control over your business spending? Meet Ramp, the only corporate card and spend management platform designed to save you time and money. Ramp offers unlimited corporate cards with spend controls you can customize to stop wasteful spending before it happens. Ramp makes expense reports a breeze by automatically collecting receipts and matching them to the right transaction. You'll close your books in hours instead of days. Ramp allows you to see all of your company's spend in one place, so you can make quick, informed decisions about your business finances. Plus, Ramp will share insights based on your spending to help you cut costs. Over 15,000 businesses have added up to 5% to their bottom line with Ramp. You can be one of them. If you're a decision maker, adding Ramp could be one of the best decisions you've ever made. And now get $250 when you join Ramp. Just go to ramp.com/sports. Ramp.com/sports. ramp.com/sports.
Omaha Maverick Hockey is the hottest ticket in town and is 5th in the country in attendance. NCHC play is heating up as Minnesota Duluth, Colorado College, and North Dakota enter the intimidating confines of Baxter Arena. Also, Maverick men's basketball is in 4th place in the Summit League and making a run at the league title as they take on 2nd place St. Thomas and 1st place South Dakota State. Let's pack the Baxter. Get your tickets now by calling the box office at 402-554-MAVS or at omavs.com/tigs.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
If you're having problems in the bedroom, talking about it is the last thing you want to do. Same goes for hair loss, anxiety, or even depression. That's where HIMS comes in. Through HIMS, you don't have to talk about it. You can do something about it. Just go to hims.com/start, where you can find a variety of potential solutions for the problems men face every day and save up to 95% on generic alternatives. The entire process is 100% online, making it incredibly simple, straightforward, and above all, private. If prescribed, treatments made using clinically proven ingredients are shipped directly to your door in low-key packaging. So if you're experiencing ED, hair loss, anxiety, or problems with your general health, you don't have to go to the doctor or the pharmacy or spend all day talking about it. Just go to hims.com/start and do something about it. Get started today at hims.com/start. That's HIMS.com/START.
Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Terry on Twitter, he would like to see the NCAA match them up in the same bracket.
2014?
I don't.
It's not as much fun. I mean, I get the fun part of it, but to me, it's no. Yeah.
Chad the Cop is chimed in with the nickname. How about Center of Mast?
Center. Ooh, I like that.
He also says, whoa, Nebraska could be 15-9 before we know it. Next four are tough.
Oh, come on. No, we're not doing that. We're not doing that today. We're not doing that today.
So Eric, though, expands on this. The next four for Nebraska. At Maryland. Maryland is 9-2 at home. Maryland is 68 in the Ken Palm. Not an NCAA team right now.
Nope.
Then home for Wisconsin, currently number 13 in the country.
Mm-hmm.
Wisconsin survived Minnesota last night.
Yes.
Minnesota and Wisconsin have played some crazy games of late. Minnesota can't make any free throws, and they rallied in that game.
Mm-hmm. They had a good look at the end there, too.
They had a chance at the end. Wisconsin held on and won. Greg Gard is coach of the year in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
Then you go to Illinois, which is going to be very difficult now that Shannon is back. They're 10-2 at home. Northwestern is 9-1 at home. Thank you, Eric, for this is a good discussion.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think is a reasonable record? 2-2. Would 1-3 with a road win be disappointing to the resume?
It doesn't kill it. No, I mean, I think 2-2 is where you need to be. 1-3 that is somewhat disappointing. But if you're getting a road win, I'll take that more than having the continue the home success. Although if you get a home win, you're getting Wisconsin too. So
if Nebraska,
I still think that's disappointing.
So if Nebraska is who we want them to be, not who they are, but we want them to be,
they're 2-2.
They're 2-2.
Yep.
And it's any combination of those four games at 2-2.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If you can somehow continue the success at home, to me would completely offset not getting a road victory if you get that victory against Wisconsin. Because if we're just talking about it from a resume standpoint, it's huge. Then you're talking about another major quad one win. And you're looking back at the overall strength of schedule, the non-conference, which we know have sunk teams that put themselves on the bubble, that you're also able to point right back to the quad one victories. To me, that might be even more important for Nebraska right now, is being able to, whatever quad ones you have available, that you're able to take care of that aspect of your resume, because there's nothing you can do about your non-conference schedule at this point. I mean, it is what it is. So if you can try to offset that from the standpoint of getting those quad one wins, that's probably your best path.
All right, so let's do Creighton real quick, but let's do Creighton over the next 6, because Creighton's closing is Connecticut at St. John's, Seton Hall at home, Marquette at home, and then at Villanova.
You can count DePaul.
Well, no, I'm going that they're closing stretch.
Oh, okay, closing stretch. Gotcha.
So DePaul, Butler, at Providence, at Xavier, the return game.
Mm-hmm.
Georgetown here, at Butler. The next 6. Reasonable to think that Creighton could go 5-1. Cincinnati and Indianapolis have been a pain.
Yep.
5-1. Creighton over the next 6.
Reasonable, yeah.
I think so.
That puts you 11-4 in the league. That puts you 20-6 overall. Now there's
Now
there's some landmines in there because
Yeah.
it's not the big boys at the back end.
At Providence or at Xavier, probably at Xavier is the one you're probably looking at the most. Providence is absolutely beat up at this point. After that,
Never discount that day game at Hinkle.
Yep, the 17th at Hinkle.
11:30.
But then you get into that interesting stretch to finish where you're starting at, so that would be the game at Butler, then you're home to UConn, at St. John's, home Seton Hall, home Marquette, at Nova. Talk about different closing stretches between Nebraska and Creighton.
Bob writes into the Equitable Bank inbox. In all of this back and forth between Husker and Jay fans, I think everyone can pause and acknowledge when a first-time accomplishment is achieved. Watchers of the Jays game last night were treated to the first Creighton win when trailing at halftime in the last 2 years. How about that now?
Wow.
They are now 1-12 in those games, and last night's effort down by 1 at halftime should be acknowledged and appreciated by both fan bases. Tip of the hat to Coach Mack and the Jays. That's from Bob.
I would second that, Bob. That's a good point to bring up, too.
First time in 2 years.
Yeah.
All right. It was a good night for ball, y'all. It was a good ball night.
It was.
We'll do it again on Saturday.
Yes, we will. Yes, we will. What will we be talking about, especially when it comes to the red team on Monday? Because we already kind of know what's going on with Creighton on Saturday. Oh, that red team.
Yep.
You didn't specify.
Going to have a Taylor Swift Super
That
Bowl?
Baltimore out of the shotgun didn't run it 60 times, so
Yeah.
they played into Kansas City's hands, and their young wide receivers couldn't match up with Kansas City's secondary. And Mahomes, all of a sudden, the deep ball and the 13 personnel that they're running. I'm just giving you a little breakdown.
Oh, you're talking about the other game, the other red
and
team.
Kansas City won. Yeah, that's what I thought you were talking about.
You're talking about the red team that
can
plays
do
the
that too.
Lions.
Hey, I'm the only red team I'm concerned about this weekend is playing in
I
Baltimore.
got you. And as well should be.
You got house money.
And they
Fun.
actually they are kind of close to Baltimore, aren't they? In College Park.
Yeah.
See what I did there?
Aha! Ha-ha!
All right. Brandon Vogel is coming next on Mornings with Sharp and Handley and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com with Gary Sharp and Nick Handley. For the Jays, the Huskers, and even you Jayskers, we are 1620 The Zone.
You can find pizza anywhere. But when you want pizza pie piled high with more toppings, that's when you come to my place, Godfather's Pizza. For a limited time, get your hands on 2 of my large one-topping pizzas. Pick pepperoni, beef, black olives, you choose. All this food for only $30. Feed your whole mob without breaking the bank. Hey, it's an offer you can't refuse. Godfather's Pizza. Do it.
If you've been watching the NFL playoffs from the sidelines, there's still time to get in the game with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. New customers bet this Sunday's conference championship games with $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. FanDuel has so many ways to pick up a W, whether we're talking Niners, Lions, or Chiefs, Ravens. You've got also anytime scores. Love the prop of the plus 150 anytime score 4-1 David Montgomery. That and much more. Visit FanDuel.com. Use the promo code ZONE. That's FanDuel.com/zone. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. 21 plus and present in Iowa. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Anjali.
Hi, it's Jennifer Coolidge. I just got an alert for a strange charge on my card.
No problem. We make sure you're never held responsible for unauthorized purchases on your Discover card. Let's see. Did you purchase something from a t-shirt cannon store yesterday?
Absolutely not. No, I already have like 3.
$0 fraud liability guarantee. It pays to Discover. Learn more at discover.com/credit card. Limitations apply.
Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill is your home for the big game. Whether it's the NFL or a rivalry on the hardwood, you will find all the action on Oscar's top-of-the-line audio-video system. With 40 TVs, and massive dual projectors, the game has never looked better. Pair that with their award-winning char-buffed wings and $7.99 Monday through Friday lunch specials. Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill has everything you need. 173rd and West Center Road, and for takeout at 162nd and Maple.
At Charmin, we heard you shouldn't talk about going to the bathroom in public, so we decided to sing about it.
When you're rolling Charmin up your soft on the party, this is more, so roll it back, everybody. Charmin's irresistibly soft and hella nice. My grip is always soft. It's our party vibe. It's cushion and face, so our chicks feel fly. So every booty wanna touch the sky.
Charmin Ultra Soft is irresistibly soft and more absorbent, so you can use less. Enjoy the go with Charmin.
It's pro time, Nebraska! The Omaha Supernovas, your Major League Volleyball team, are about to hit the court. Mark your calendars for January 24th at 7 p.m. when we host the first ever Pro Volleyball Federation match against the Atlanta Vibe at the CHI Health Center. Witness world-class talent, including national champions and Olympians. Don't wait. Secure your single match tickets today at supernovas.com to become a part of history.
1620 The Zone will be broadcasting live on Friday, January 26th from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. at American Cancer Society's Hope Lodge, Nebraska, in support of the Creighton Pinkout game. Stop by and drop off a donation of paper products, gift cards, or cash to support cancer patients staying at the Hope Lodge, a free home away from home for cancer patients and caregivers who must travel to Omaha for their life-saving treatment. Once again, 1620 The Zone live January 26th from the American Cancer Society's Hope Lodge, Nebraska. For more details, listen to 1620 The Zone and visit cancer.org/pinkout.
Woodhouse GMC is bringing you more for the new year. With every new GMC purchase from Woodhouse, we're including 3 years of scheduled maintenance. Plus, with our current finance offers going on now, you'll save even more. Receive up to $7,000 off MSRP on the new 2024 GMC Sierra 1500 SLT. Woodhouse GMC, we are professional grade. With approved credit, must have 2009 or newer trade-in to qualify. $299 doc fee due at signing. Offer expires January 31st, 2024. See dealer for details.
And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
All right, time to talk to our good friend, Brandon Vogel from counterread.com, as he joins us now on 1620 The Zone. Good Wednesday morning, my friend.
Good morning.
Hey, let's we've been talking a lot of basketball last night. Both Nebraska and Creighton won on the same night. Pretty important victories. They're in a good spot. I think we're 5-6 weeks away from Selection Sunday. The vibe on Fred Hoiberg right now is what?
I think it's strong. They could really use, honestly, like they need one big road win, I think. Yep. And if you get that and you kind of hold serve with the way they have done at home, 5-0 at home, I think one of 3 Big Ten teams that are undefeated in conference play on their home court. All of a sudden, then you're looking at a team that's probably, solidifying its spot in the NCAA tournament at that point, which feels far from a given yet, because they're also winless on the road in conference play. So it's still, the team to me is a little bit of, really good when it gets to play downhill, tends to find ways to lose when it has to play uphill. And that kind of leaves you in the middle. It looks a lot better than past Hoiberg seasons, but if you really get for the people who are really, really into basketball and who really dig into kind of the teeth of it, I think there's more similarities here than the records might suggest right now.
Yeah, and Brandon, I think everybody would agree as far as it goes with the road victory to where you feel like, all right, now you've kind of solidified what the season has been. Gary asked this question earlier in the show about, or it just brought it up, that it doesn't seem like even at 15-5, which is, as we've talked about, the best start since the 90-91 season, which was a damn good team, this one doesn't seem to feel maybe as special. Is, in your opinion, does it take on a different feel if you do, say, maybe crack a road game against an Illinois or a Maryland, or maybe even down the road where you string a couple of road games together and you maintain success at home? Then does it take on a different feel of, all right, this went from 15-5 to damn, this is actually, you could start to see this happening. This is starting to feel a little bit more special.
I think it would. And you know, we've kind of known that's where Nebraska sits. And, you know, two of those road losses were not just road losses. They were tough ones where you lost double-digit second half leads, which adds to this. So for Nebraska to what it's done over these past two games against Northwestern and Ohio State, teams that are pretty close in terms of record, and in terms of ranking, I guess, in the case of Northwestern, they were pretty similar to Nebraska. Like these weren't, they had to go out and win those home games, and they did. They did it, you know, in a couple of different ways. They shot really well last night from three in particular, but got nearly 57 minutes, I think, off the bench with Tominaga having sort of a down night. So last night was pretty impressive, and you pair those two together, pretty impressive. So go out and get one of these on the road, and you know, depending on where it falls in the schedule, you put together a little bit of a run here, with mixing in some home games. And I do think you would see a lifting of the trepidation, I guess, that's kind of inherent to following Nebraska basketball.
So part of that bench production last night was Sam Hoiberg, who had 7, but he makes a lot of heady plays he seems always to be in the right place at the right time. Do you think, if rewinding to last year, if Bandemill and Gary don't get hurt, are we even talking about Sam Hoiberg?
It's a really good question, made all the more fascinating by his relationship to the head coach. And you know, it was so easy, like seeing Sam play alongside his brother at Pius. Like, you know, it becomes easy to it's easy to be skeptical, I guess, coming in. Be like, yeah, it's coach's son, you know, really good basketball player in the grand scheme of things, but is he a Big Ten basketball player? I don't think I had that expectation coming in. And it wasn't until last year that you're like, oh, wait a second, he is. It doesn't look like he should be, but he is. So what he's been able to add, and last night was kind of, I think, the perfect example of just he works really, really hard, and I think he has to. But it's been productive for the majority of the times that we've seen him since he kind of got his shot last year. So do we see that if injuries don't clear the way for him? Kind of a fascinating question, because, you know, the other side of that, if there's skepticism coming in, it's a little bit of a different dynamic too, just for Fred, knowing that, hey, this is my son, you know? So we don't see that often at the college level. So it's been kind of fun and interesting to watch that unfold.
Yeah, and with the success that, you know, Nebraska again has had this year compared to previous years under Fred Hoiberg, Sam's one of those great stories too. We've been spending a lot of time on CJ Wilcher. This time last year, Brandon, I'm curious, where were you on CJ Wilcher, and how big of a stunner is it that you still see him even on the roster today?
I was pretty surprised last offseason, because he was a player coming in that seemed like a good fit for the Hoiberg kind of system, and seemed like a guy who had a lot of good basketball ahead of him. And after last year, it just kind of felt like, maybe.
Brandon.
Okay. Sorry, you got me?
Oh yeah, you're cutting in and out a bit, but now we got you.
Yeah, sorry about that. You know, I felt like maybe that window had closed after last year. It wouldn't have surprised me at all to see him enter the portal, and it would have been one of those stories where you had a guy who seemed kind of custom made for this, but it just didn't work out. Now I think you've seen. He's kind of a specific part in the machine, and I think Nebraska has completed, has upgraded its parts around him. That's allowed him to really kind of flourish in the role he was probably always best in.
Brandon Vogel from counterread.com joining us. All right, let's shift to football real quick. So Nebraska is not done adding to the roster of the 24 team, and we might not be able to say that, stop saying that until August 1 when they get ready for camp. But Keona Wilhite was on campus. By all means, it went well, like most visits did when they talked to websites. But does it change your opinion? One, that here's a guy that Washington fell in love with because we're in love with Kellen DeBoer's eye for talent. And then also, does it ramp it up with a position of need that you have to win a battle against two other Big Ten teams in UCLA, Michigan State, and possibly Texas?
It definitely ramps it up from that regard. And, I wrote kind of a trend report on Big Ten teams 2 weeks ago. And I had Washington trending down when Kalen DeBoer was still the head coach just because of the amount they had to replace. But now, kind of waiting on what happens in Michigan. And after seeing what happens with the roster at Alabama, Michigan's is different. But yeah, you have to wonder about that if Harbaugh departs for the NFL. So everything is so much in flux right now. In terms of Nebraska adding a player of that caliber, it does mean something to me that the Washington staff, which we know where Kalen DeBoer came from, like part of, I think the surprise in Alabama for some people, or the skepticism, and also the surprise outside of that he made that move, is that he jumped to a place that he hasn't been. No, he hadn't been on the West Coast either until he took the Fresno State job. But he's got kind of a classic, I think, Midwestern ethos. I think he would be a great fit at almost any Big Ten school. So the type of players they identify and land and choose to develop carries a little bit more weight for me than it does just be like, hey, this guy was a high 4-star coming out of high school, and it didn't work out at Ole Miss or wherever. So it does have a little bit extra.
And between the transfer portal and Nebraska finalizing the 24 class, in your opinion, anything that they have left on the table at this point as we get so close to the final signing period?
I don't think signing period won't have anything to do with it. The one I still kind of look at is, what are you going to do at quarterback post spring? Like Will has said what he said. We know that Raiola is their planned future there. But you've got 3 scholarship quarterbacks. Is that, and that's assuming you don't lose, say, a Harburg post-spring, depending on how things go there. So I think that's the big spot for me when we look at this long-term from basically like now until the end of summer. Everything else, I felt like they did a pretty good job. In fact, probably a really good job of addressing. They can be selective shoppers right now, and we'll see what happens in the spring, but based on what happened in this first winter transfer window for them, I think it would be really surprising if we saw a lot of high impact defections after Nebraska gets through its spring practices.
Yeah, that'll be May will be kind of interesting around all of college football because you don't think Alabama will look to be retooling?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, absolutely, and it's a bizarre thing of just the calendar now of like that's gonna be their first chance to do it. They've got to kind of limp into Kalen DeBoer's first spring practices for a little bit, to a degree, and they'll be. I'm assuming they'll be heavy buyers, and they'll sway quite a few people. So the narrative now is, boy, Alabama's been decimated, and it absolutely has, but they kind of hadn't had a chance other than what it can do in the portal on its own with basically Washington guys to respond to that.
Yeah. Something will have to change one of these days. As always, we appreciate it, Brandon. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
That's Brandon Vogel from counterread.com, him and Aaron Sorensen. Substack subscription a couple times a week. Great in-depth. You love 2 fantastic writers. I highly recommend a subscription at counterread.com. All right, Keona Wilhite. I don't think he's in a hurry to make a decision. Nebraska will have an in-home.
With Texas.
Nebraska only had one defensive lineman Ashton Murphy from Elkhorn South. So they need, even though they have a lot of bodies right now on the defensive line, they need to replenish that. And you don't get pass rushers that are as talented as he is. So we'll watch that. I don't have a good read on this, so I'm not sure. I think Michigan State is in a good spot, but we'll see who Rule takes with him on a home visit. All right, great show, everybody. That was fun. We'll do it again tomorrow. How about that? We'll be in at 6. Connor Happer is in next for the crossover. For Jimmy, for Nick, I'm Gary. I will actually